Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm very sorry for being late. That's why I've also decided to do a very short starting soon screen because I just kind of wanted to get into it, in all honesty, because we got a bit to go through for our announcements for today, and then of course some other stuff to discuss in general. Yes, happy October. Um, yes, like I said, before we get into uh, stream what we're doing today, let us go through our announcements. We have a fair few to talk about, but as always, I will talk about everything else on the list, and then we'll go through and talk about news related to Palestine as well as Lebanon. So, with that, let us begin by talking about Sudan, Congo, Yemen, and Haiti. Excuse me. Sudan is currently in a war between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Sudanese children have been burned, whether alive or not. It is still disturbing and horrific. There's been a boycott called for Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. Given they don't have any gold mines, they are killing, raping, and terrorizing Sudanese people for their gold, and so it has been asked that we do not participate in tourism of the United Arab Emirates and Dubai, rather, and don't buy gold from them. Women in Sudan are also being forced to have sexual intercourse with soldiers to obtain food for their families. This is the literal definition of sex slavery. Sudan has also experienced some flooding. According to news articles that I have read, devastating floods in recent weeks have compounded the tragedy that is currently going on in Sudan. Dozens of people have been killed and critical infrastructure has been washed away in 11 of Sudan's 18 provinces, according to local authorities. Congo is currently in the midst of a silent genocide. Many are being worked to death as slaves in mines in order to mine for coltan, which is a valuable mineral that is used in our electronics, such as our phones and our computers. They are the #1 producer of this mineral, with millions being killed. Women are being sexually assaulted, and men and children are being forced to work in inhumane conditions, with over 6 million killed and counting. The number has probably gone up since the last time I checked. Yemen is currently facing a famine and bombardment from the United States for their involvement with supporting Palestine. They were bombed as recent as July, and I'm sure that they have been bombarded even more so since then. And Haiti is currently experiencing gang violence, and Haitians who live in America currently are also being faced with xenophobia and racism. A news article I read a little while ago from an incident in Springfield claimed that some Haitians were attacked after a campaign of misinformation and xenophobia launched by the American far right, which wrongly accused them of eating pets, which is just completely and utterly incorrect and xenophobic and racist in nature. So I have a bunch of links below to support Sudanese people, the Congolese people, Yemeni people, and Haitian people. I also have links below to Posterity International, which are currently raising $70,000 to provide hygiene kits to displaced people in the Kanyarenchia camp in Congo. The goal is to provide 10,000 hygiene kits. These kits contain essential items such as soap, toothpaste, and sanitary products. There is also a link to Twitter user at sitcomabed, that is at SITCOMABED, on Twitter. They have a Ko-fi set up for fundraising for Sudan and Palestine. I also have a link to a campaign that was started by a TikTok user at @acute_insp, that is ATUTE_INSP, and her team, Mutual Aim. They are trying to collect money for Congo, Sudan, and Tigray. The donations will be divided between the 3 causes, so if you would like to donate but don't have the funds to donate to multiple campaigns, this is a great way to support Congo, Sudan, and Tigray. Of course, Venezuela, also, they are still in a blackout. They are still currently experiencing violence against their people. If you would like to know more about what has occurred in Venezuela, I have articles linked down below as well. But to give you a short recap, there was an election between two candidates, Edmundo Gonzalez and Nicolas Maduro. Nicolas Maduro won through false voting, and because he is a violent dictator, he has enacted all sorts of atrocities against the people of Venezuela after they started protesting and saying that the election was rigged and the rightful winner was Edmundo Gonzalez. At least 46 people were killed 24 hours after the election, which could have been higher since that time, and also have been kidnapping people and taking them to the largest torture center in Latin America called El Icoede. My apologies if I have mispronounced that, and a whole bunch of other disgusting, disturbing, atrocious actions being committed against the Venezuelan people. They are in a social media blackout currently, and so please, please, please keep up with the news regarding Venezuelans and what is currently ongoing in their country as of late. It is also Black History Month in the UK and Blacktober, so for those of you who live in the UK, I wish you a wonderful and fantastic Black History Month. And I also wish those who are Black celebrating Blacktober a fantastic Blacktober, which is a celebration of Black culture and generally, I believe a lot has to do with art as well. I think I forgot to mention that the last time. There's a lot of art going around from Black artists drawing a bunch of art featuring Black characters or Black race swapping characters. I almost said black swapping. That's not the right term. Race swapping characters to make them black and so on and so forth. But I hope that Blacktober's been going well for everyone who is currently participating in it. It is also Filipino American History Month, and I wish those of you who are Filipino American a fantastic History Month, and I hope that October has been kind to you. There are links below also for all that I'm talking about. It's like Black History Month in the UK and Blacktober, Filipino American History Month, Disability Awareness Month, and LGBT History Month. All the links are in the important links for the month of October to support these people, not just at this time, but always forward, moving on. Always buy from Black-run businesses, Filipino-American-run businesses, those who are disabled running businesses, and those who are LGBT. Just support your fellow people at all times that absolutely deserve your business, 100%. It is also Disability Awareness Month, and so those of you who are disabled, I love you, and I hope you're having a wonderful and comfortable Disability Awareness Month. And that goes for every single person, not just those who have mental disabilities, but those who have physical disabilities that may or may not be visible, or any disability really that inhibits your everyday life. I love you and I care about you, and I hope you have a fantastic Disability Awareness Month. You guys, disability history tends to get overlooked a lot, and there's a lot of ableism that goes around, so always support disabled people. Don't just support them because it's Disability Awareness Month, you know? And also it's LGBT History Month. We are visible for this 1 month and then no more. But I wish all of us who are LGBT a happy and fantastic LGBT History Month as well. And there are links down below to support LGBT people as well. SAG-AFTRA is currently striking for video game voice actors. They have a statement on their website going on to read, SAG-AFTRA members went on strike against video game employers on July 26th. The strike was called after more than 18 months of negotiations with some of the largest video game companies, ended without a deal. The employers rebuffed our proposals for consent, compensation, and transparency around the use of AI, and instead have countered with loophole-filled language that negates any protections they claim to offer. Excuse me. But yes, I hope that you read through what they have on their website regarding what is going on with the strike. And if you have any sort of doubts as to which games and companies are being struck against, they have a search feature on their website where you can look up the product number, I believe, of a game, and it will tell you whether or not it is specifically being struck against, or if the company that has put it out is currently being struck against. Excuse me. The Oaxaca fires that tore through Oaxaca, Mexico were incredibly devastating, especially to its indigenous populace. Lots of lives were lost and a lot of homes were destroyed, and the government has done nothing to support the indigenous population of Oaxaca, Mexico. So if you would like to support the indigenous population of Oaxaca, Mexico, there are links down below. As well as the floods that tore through Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil were incredibly devastating and left at least 100 people dead and displaced more than 200,000 people. So if you would like to support those in Rio Grande do Sul, there are links down below as well as articles to read more about what happened in Rio Grande do Sul. There are articles that are in Portuguese. So if you can read Portuguese, that's great, but if you want to search for articles in English or use a translation feature, I'm not going to knock you just so long as you read up about what happened. All indigenous tribes have been stripped of their clean water rights. There's a New York Times article linked down below for when this happened to the Navajo, as well as links to support indigenous people, because that's incredibly important, and their lives are continually, their rights are continually being stripped away by the government pretty much every single day, because the government doesn't actually care about indigenous people. And also, it was Indigenous Peoples Day not too long ago on the 14th. So those of you who are indigenous, I hope that you had a fantastic and wonderful Indigenous Peoples Day. All the love to those who are indigenous and in my audience. You guys are cool and amazing and wonderful. And that goes for all indigenous people. That doesn't just go for people indigenous to America. All indigenous people everywhere are cool and amazing, and I love you guys a lot. The wildfires that tore through Maui were incredibly devastating to the indigenous population of Maui. A historic town was devastated. Lots of homes were lost, and people sadly lost their lives in this tragedy as well. But they have since started rebuilding in the time since these wildfires tore through. But still, it's going to take a while to get back to where it fully was. So if you would like to support the indigenous population of Maui, there are links down below as well. And finally, before we go on to talk about news related to Palestine and Lebanon, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of businesses discriminating against the LGBT. So if you would like to support LGBT people during this time, there are links down below. Okay, so the biggest news I have regarding Palestine at this moment is the very sad death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. I'm sure a lot of you saw that and saw a whole bunch of Zionists probably celebrating and being overjoyed at the fact that Yahya Sinwar has been killed. It's incredibly devastating to hear the news that he was killed. He was killed Thursday of this week, I believe. The news articles that have been reporting on his death have been calling him, all sorts of horrific things and saying untruths about him. And the most that I will say regarding Yahya Sinwar is that he was an incredible revolutionary leader. He cared a lot about the state of Palestine and wanted to restore it back to the state that it was before it was overtaken by the genocidal apartheid state of Israel, and fought the whole time. He never backed down from fighting against the oppressors and led many of those who were behind him with confidence and care, and he will be surely missed. He was martyred, and it is truly and utterly devastating, and so I hope that Yahya Sinwar is resting in peace, and glory to the resistance, because Palestinians do not deserve what is currently going on, the genocide that has been ongoing for a year now, a year of genocide, and tens of thousands of innocent civilians, a lot of which are children, have been killed as a result of this. And even grosser as a result of Yahya Sinwar's death is the news that our current president, Joe Biden, has said that his death has been labeled a good day for the world and is calling it an opportunity to free the hostages that are being held by Hamas. I mean, I guess it's typical for the Zionists to say that, but like it's still like, ugh, I fucking hate it. It's disturbing. Also regarding Lebanon, the Israeli army mined and completely blew up the Lebanese border village of Mabib in southern Lebanon, and they brought the same systematic destruction of civilian areas with which it wreaked havoc in Gaza to Lebanon. So they are currently pulling a lot of the same tactics that they pulled at the beginning of this genocide to Lebanon. And it's, yeah. And also, currently, Jabalia has been under siege. It's been under attack. According to on-the-ground Palestinian reporter Anas al-Sharif, families who refuse to be displaced are being subjected to genocide. Warplanes have bombed dozens of inhabited homes in the vicinity of the Nasser intersection in the Tal al-Zatar neighborhood east of the camp, resulting in 100 people being killed or wounded. The bodies of the pure, as he has stated, are lying everywhere. Hospitals, streets, and roads are crowded with those who were recovered from these explosions and murders, and a lot of them are still under the rebel. So all eyes on Jabalia right now, as it's currently under siege and there's a massacre ongoing currently in Jabalia. It's a lot of heavy news today, and I must also remind you all that we should never lose hope in Palestine. It is heavy, a lot of what has happened over the past year, but we must never lose hope in the Palestinians, because the Palestinians have never lost hope in themselves, and that one day we will see a free Palestine, and we must keep saying that. We must never lose hope in Palestine. I have links to support Palestinians. I have it's under the section that says look here now for Palestinian resources, where you can read up about Palestinian culture, as well as look for places to donate to, such as charities like the PCRF or MAP, or GazaFunds.com is a trusted resource you can use that shuffles through GoFundMes from Palestinian fundraisers to try to help them escape the genocide and get their family and them to safety. And I highly, highly encourage you to use that resource if you are able to. I also have a link to the Lebanese Red Cross. I know I should get more resources to support the Lebanese people. I haven't had time to do so, which is not an excuse, but I am searching for resources to support the Lebanese people. The link, I know, looks a bit sketchy, but I promise you, if you click it, it is a trusted resource to help donate to the Lebanese Red Cross, who are trying to get resources to the Lebanese people as they are currently experiencing their own genocide. I believe that is everything I have to talk about today. Thank you for listening. I always appreciate it when we go through and talk about our announcements for the day. And yeah, let me put on the music, which is going to sound a little different than what I normally put on. And we're swapping screens. And there we go. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little shaken up from talking about the news today, the announcements for stream. I'm a little shaken up. I've been thinking a lot about Yahya Sinwar's death and just how much of a huge blow it has been to the Palestinian people, to Hamas, to everyone in Palestine currently, and it has been heavy. And also just reading account after account of people, experiencing the genocide currently in Palestine and Lebanon. And so, sorry, I'm a little shaken up by that. But thank you still. I appreciate you guys listening a whole bunch. It means the world. I know not a lot of people like to listen to it, but I find it always is important to bring up these topics and discuss them with you all. But hi, I hope you all are doing well. Goodness, I feel like it's been forever, even though it's been a week since we last talked. Hang on, I'm grabbing out something. Oops, that's the wrong thing. a week, guys. Can you believe it? My sister, where the heck did... Wait, huh? Where did my notebook go? Where did I put the damn thing? Hold on. Where did I... Oh, there it is. Oh, it just got hidden. Oh my gosh. I'm a mess today. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope you all are doing well. What do I got to talk to you guys about today? Not a whole bunch. I mean, work's just been about the same as before. Just, you know, taking care of kiddos, and a few funny things have happened. Low-key down in the dumps today, but locked in for the court stream. I hope that stream today can be a little bit fun and uplifting, even if we are reading scary stories. Right, yeah. So I guess the kiddo who's obsessed with my face is pretty much attached to my hip at this point. She will not go anywhere without me being there when she's hanging out with us until her parents come pick her up. Like legitimately, I'm going to go take the kids to the bathroom that need to go, and she's like right there, or she's sat next to me. Unless she's like going and hanging out with her friends and they're doing an activity or whatever, she's like attached to my hip, and I don't know why. I can't fathom it, because like I asked her why specifically she likes to hang out with me, and she's like, "'Cause you're cool." And I'm like, am I cool? I don't know. That's kind of sweet, lol. I guess it's nice that she's found someone, like, that she finds, like, camaraderie with, I guess, because, like, she and I have a mutual shared interest in, like, drawing and stuff, and, I have taught her some techniques. Oh my god, she asked me to, like, teach her some drawing techniques because she wants to draw like me or draw as good as me. And I taught her about, like, guidelines and doing, like, sketches and stuff. I was like, oh my god, I can finally do this! I can finally teach somebody drawing techniques. My time has come. Oh my god, I can't believe it. The day has finally come where I can do that. Oh my god. It kind of made my day a little bit real. Recognizes real. She's a sweet kid, in all honesty. She does catastrophize a little bit. We do this thing called curriculum, where we have the kids do an activity, and she's been put in charge of doing curriculum for the past couple, like, weeks now. And sometimes she catastrophizes so hard because she's like, oh my god, what if I'm not doing good enough? What if the kids hate the activity? And I have to tell her, like, you're gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna let you fail. I keep telling her that, like, I'm not gonna let you fail. And I mean it every single time I say it. Although our last curriculum we did was kind of a nightmare because it involved paints. And young children plus paint is a recipe for a disaster. And it happened. There was so many kids. Oh my god. I was so close to having a meltdown because, like, the kids kept coming, they kept getting out of their seat and trying to ask me for help, and I kept having to tell them to sit down and wait or raise their hand if they have a problem, and they just were not listening to me, and I was like, struggling because I had so much that everyone was asking of me. I was like, they were like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? I need this. I need that. And I'm like, oh my god, there's too many of you. Please let me do this one at a time. And a kiddo who was attached to my hip, I'm gonna say now instead of obsessed with my face, the kiddo who's attached to my hip, she got overwhelmed too and had to, like, sit out for a little bit. And she, God, the day after, because I had to clean up everything because she had to leave early, she came in the next day and was so upset that she had to leave early and leave me to clean everything. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to leave you by yourself with all of that. I feel so bad that I didn't, because it's my responsibility and I left you to have to clean everything. And like, she was so sad about it. And I had to be like, it's okay. Like, you can't help that you had to leave. It's alright. It's part of my job to clean up messes, so it's fine. I absolve you of your guilt. I told her I absolved her of your guilt. Because, like, there was genuinely no way for her to actually genuinely help me because she did have to leave. So it was like, hey, no, you are fine. I cleaned it up, and it's good. Nothing exploded. We're fine. Yeah, we did have an incident with a kid the other day. I won't get into it too much for personal reasons, but he did have a really bad time, and he was not doing very, very well. I had to make sure all the other kids weren't, like, gawking at him or what, like, snooping, because, like, it's none of their business. But as I was doing that, there's this one kid, he's sassy. He, like, asked me randomly out of the blue, are you pregnant? And I was like, no, I would hope not. And then he also asked me, like, do you have any children of your own? And I said, no, I would hope not, because I'm too young to have kids. Don't even want kids, so, like, boy oh boy. Always makes my heart shatter to see the kids be as insecure as I am on a daily basis. I know! It crushes me. Whenever I see a kid being insecure, I'm like, crush that out right now! No, 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 no. Like, I pull out my freaking psychology knowledge, and I'm like, no, we're not. No, 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 no. No insecurity today. I am going to crush that out of you real quick. Make sure that you actually understand that you are good enough, even though I should be following my own advice. Genuinely insane line of questioning. I know! Kids are so weird sometimes. I'm like, where did you come to the conclusion that I am pregnant? My brain. What was I was gonna mention something and then I forgot. Oh! Yeah, actually no, I won't mention it. For privacy's sake. Just because I don't want to reveal too much about the kids online. I'm giving you guys, like, surface level stuff for the sake of keeping these kids anonymous. Because y'all don't need to know anything about these kids. Alright? They are the kids that I care for. But they are not for you guys to know in depth. Thank you, it's the album cover for... Oh, right, I'm sorry. I'm just reading text messages now. Text messages? Messages from chat. I'm having a weird brain day. Anyway. I'm also just very tired. Oh, this week was hectic. Next week's gonna be a nightmare. I'm gonna tell you guys this. This coming week is gonna be a nightmare. Because I have 6-hour shifts the whole week. Because I gotta go in at 11 a.m. and then stay till 6. I'm gonna have the worst time. I'm gonna have the worst time. Oh, God. But I must do what I gotta do for my job. Because it makes me money, and also I do actually genuinely love my job. I love what I do. Also, wait, I got an update about the fingerprint saga. That is something I can talk about. The fingerprints... I think, okay, I talked to my supervisors about it, and I said I was gonna go get them done at the police department, right? I haven't been able to do that because I went in this week, and they were like, hey, yeah, actually, we're not doing them until next week, so we're like, okay, and then I emailed my supervisor, because one of my supervisors has been out on, I guess, a vacation for a little bit, and she just came back a bit ago after for a meeting we had to do on Sunday. And I emailed her about the situation with my fingerprints, and she was like, actually, I think you're in the clear because your background check came back in, and typically your background checks can't come through without fingerprints first. So, and I was like, what? She said she's gonna check in with it, and I'm probably gonna check in with her on Monday about it, but, like, I was like, pardon? Wait, what, huh? How did my fingerprints go through when they have been rejected for the 3rd time now? What? Baffling to me a little bit. Just absolutely baffling. But if it turns out that they, I need to go and get them done, I know I can go get them done easily at, the sheriff's office nearby. But I was just like, what? So, a little bit of ease off of my shoulders, but not too much because I'm still confused. Lot going on, honestly. So much is happening. Crazy plot twist, I know. I'm baffled, genuinely, when I have been emailed on 3, count them, 3 separate occasions that my flippin' prints have been rejected, and yet miraculously, somehow, through a weird series of events, they may have been accepted. I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words. Oh my god. I just don't know, dude. I just don't know. Anyway, there's the fingerprint saga. And, yeah, I think that's all the job-related stuff. I have listened to some more of my Beatles albums that I have, but I'll talk about them at the end of stream because they usually take up a fuck ton of time. And I have poems that I promised to you guys because guess what? I forgot I wrote poems for you guys last week. Well, I wrote poems that I wanted to share with you guys last week, but my really tired brain, after doing a million quizzes last time, forgot I had poems. So, even though my notebook was like right behind me the whole time, I forgot, and I got so upset at myself. So, guess what we're doing before we go on to do some scary story readings? Woo! I'm reading to you guys some of my poems. Let's go. It's poetry hour early today. Let's see. Let me go pull these bad boys out. Oh, that's The Ghost of John Lennon. Still one of my favorite poems I've probably written in a while. These two I'm not gonna read because they're personal poems that I wrote for myself. Oh my gosh, I wrote quite a few. Oh, I wrote 3. So, alright. Are we ready, everyone, for the Quartz Poetry Hour? I will read to you them in order of how I wrote them. So the first of which I have for you all is a little poem that I like to call Dysphoria. I'll talk about, you know what, I'll talk about the inspiration behind it afterward. I won't tell you exactly what you know what, I'll just read it. You guys can infer what it's about based on the title. So, here we go. Dysphoria. Dig my nails into the skin. Pry past the muscle, tendon, and veins to meet stark white bone, where marrow connects to carry me on. I am made of material rooted to the dirt beneath my feet, where my heart yearns beyond. There is no blood to feed yawning mouths. When the knife turns on my wrist, it's only a hollow sunken deep. I lay on my side, afraid to crush my front. My throat begins to close, and I dream of endless stretches of people, crammed close to smell their sweat. I can't move. My limbs not their own. A fog settles over, hanging like wisteria blossoms. They turn their heads in unison to direct their eyes directly on me. Me, who cannot scream or cry, as they stare a hole through. What's your name? Give your identification. Printed on the dotted line. This is who you will be for the rest of your life. Dig my nail into my thigh just to see the bruise. The polish matches the night. I threw myself at the concrete underneath streetlight when I thought I could return to the universe where I need not worry about my slim fingers or tiny waists or pitchy voices. Embrace the stars that kiss my cheeks as they pass. Watch the sun emit a spectacular glow. I smash my face into the mirror to feel the shards pierce my eyes. Split vision. Maybe then I can spare a smile. A wide-toothed grin for the girl, crossed out, boy, crossed out, girl, crossed out, boy, crossed out. Living on the precipice, all her crossed out, his crossed out life. Dig my nail. What is left? I am torn to shreds, laying on my floor. Unrecognizable. Who am I to you? Dresses and mascara, shorts and cropped hair. What am I if not a puzzle to solve? Put me back together whole before I dig my nail back in one final time more. And that was Dysphoria. I had some stuff to work out through. I wrote this partially as a response to me and my girlfriend a little bit ago watched I Saw the TV Glow for the first time, and we were both in shock and awe, but especially me. I finished that movie and was just speechless. I cried. I want to watch that movie again. It was just so potent, and I wrote this poem as a response. My favorite poem you've ever read? Oh, thank you. Wait, I thought The Ghost of John Lennon was my favorite poem that I've read to you. I guess it's new favorites all the time. But yeah, this one I wrote just like... I just was struggling. The movie was on my mind a lot, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just writing a poem about my own experiences with dysphoria. I Saw the TV Glow had me ugly crying in the theater. I wish I could have seen it in the theater. Oh my fucking god, I would have killed to fucking watch that on the big screen. Oh, it was such a good movie. I need to watch it again. There's so many connections in it that I made the first time I watched, but I need to watch it again now that it's kind of settled in, but I'm sure I will still fucking cry watching it. That fucking, like, near the end of the movie where she's screaming, good god, I lost my mind at that. I was crying. Anyway. Alright. Two more poems, and then we'll move on to read some scary stories. Woo! This one is called Behind the Frosted Glass Door. This one's a bit intense, so for those of you who are sensitive to topics around CSA or grooming, then you might want to sit this one out. Just gonna give you guys a heads up for it, because I know a lot of you guys may have experienced this kind of thing before, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand that this is what this poem is about, and if you are sensitive to that, if this is triggering to you, then you can just sit this one out. I don't mind. Just take care of yourselves, alright? My favorite, because art related to transness always gets me right where it hurts. That's totally fair. Anyway, Behind the Frosted Glass Door. You conducted study hall, just a door away from my locker. All the kids used to jeer, mock your voices warble, call you every name in the book, but I never understood their venom. It started with a hi, grading your papers without a care. Then you'd peer over my shoulder, breath warm on my neck. I came back for weeks. You came on my back twice. Behind the desk, my knees burning into the floor. Every praise that I hang on, God, I wrote this so hastily. Every praise that fell out of your mouth, I wondered about your family at home, cradled in hands that bruised my hips. You called my home in a frenzy, desire masking the need to hide. They're dismissing me Monday. 12 counts along the line. Those who spoke when I couldn't, refused to lie down and writhe. My broken heart fades. They board up the classroom, locking the memory in a glass jar, where violation remained cloaked in darkness for 4 years too long. It ended with a goodbye. So that one was behind the frosted glass door. Yeah. This one. Yeah. I'm not gonna explain where the inspiration for this one came from. It's just like a lot of... yeah. Anyway. I don't want to explain my poems in full detail anyways. The only one I have... the only one I have explained in full is The Ghost of John Lennon, because I didn't want people to misinterpret me with that one specifically. So that's the only one I will ever explain, but all my other ones, no, you can probably infer what they're about without me having to, like, hold your hand. That one hurt? Yeah, I know. I myself and a lot of my classmates were grateful enough to not have experienced horrific teachers like that, but I know for a fact that they are out there, and so that one in specific just speaks to experiences that I have not had, but what I've heard from others who have experienced it before. All my love to victims. You guys are wonderful. You don't deserve what's happened to you at all. And this last one, I have written, is also a bit personal. I didn't write it specifically about myself, but it's called The Summer's Dying Bloom. And it goes a little something like this. You're a pure rose, prickled but ever the center, a darling precious, praised for your bloom. Yesterday you were a bud, until the sun caught you in its palm, raised you to flourish, but now the summer draws its curtain close. Falling leaves flutter to scrape the pavement. A chill shudders your petals. The first two carry off in the wind, to greener pastures so they may rot in peace. The attention dwindles. Your marvel cheapens the longer you cling. No one admires your lush red, now decayed to rust. You are... Oh, you are the only remnant of your lineage. I don't know why I put your. Proud, stubborn, unwilling to follow pattern. Across the pond, another blossom bursts forth, embracing bitter chill and rain. Every thorn produces blood to the touch, seeping into your soil. They give you a wide berth, until the shears snip your bud, to end your misery. So completes your life. Forgotten to the elements, time washes your beauty to the gutter, until a bloom that resembles you takes over. And there you go. That one is, Summer's... What did I already forgot what I called that one. Summer's Dying Bloom? The Summer's Dying Bloom, yeah. There you go. Those are some of my poems that I have written as of recent. They all were from, like, earlier in the week. Nothing that I wrote really, really recently. Just a lot of stuff from before. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to write poems as of late, and I'm kind of sad. I miss writing poems. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. to make up for last week when I didn't read my poems to you guys. Alright. Now that we have accomplished everything that is needed to be ironed out, I guess, for this beginning of the stream. Now, we shall get into what we're doing today. Your poems always go crazy, Quartz. I wish I could be so eloquent. Oh, stop. I'm not as eloquent as I would like to be, honestly. My poems, I don't know. I'm kind of like, oh, I could do better, you know, but but thank you. I appreciate it. Also, I hate being a weird promo person, but I also updated Tired Chatter if you guys are following Tired Chatter. tiredchatter.wordpress.com if you want to read it. I hate being such a promo whore, I guess. I don't like promoting my stuff so much. But if you want to read it, I wrote an update this past Sunday. If you missed it. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, we're doing scary stories. Tired Chatter's also been popping off lately, and it is always visceral. I want to give the matchstick creature a knuckle sandwich. So shaking my head. Yeah. Yeah. The most recent update was my most potent piece of writing to date, probably, minus like the one from the week before. This one was probably... Anyway. We're reading scary stories. Not that life is not a scary story, but anyways, we're excuse me. We're doing scary stories. Yippee. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I'll promo for you. Everyone go read Tired Chatter. It's really, really good. I'll stop. Also, my girlfriend also likes to do the comment and subscribe and like or whatever. You guys, my mods are shilling for me. Because I hate promoting myself. I'm like, okay, sound conceited. Anyway, we're reading scary stories. I've said this like a million times now. I've compiled a bunch of older and newer r/no-sleep stories that I would like to read for you all today. And we'll see if they're scary or not. I don't know if they are. I can't remember. I had to go through our last r/no-sleep stream that we did and make sure that I'm not repeating a couple. And I almost did. I almost repeated a couple, but I caught myself, thankfully. And we're good. I saved myself some embarrassment. Now, a lot of these, if you watched a specific YouTuber from like the early 2010s, like 2012, 2013 or whatever, you may recognize a few of these that I'm reading. I'm doing this on purpose so that I can cut the association from him and you guys can associate it with me instead, or just, you know that it exists outside of him, because that guy sucks and I don't want you guys to have to like live with that, like, oh, this was read by this YouTuber who sucks, because then you'll be like, oh, it was read by Quartz who doesn't suck. No, don't put me on a pedestal. I suck sometimes, but no, I'm not as bad as that guy. So I'm gonna be reading a few that he had read that I still adore to this day, that I think everybody should know about. I have put also a trigger warning in the description for you guys. If any of the topics that are mentioned in the description are triggering to you or you are sensitive to them, then feel free to skip this stream, because your mental health matters more than scary stories. So, yeah, take care, everyone. Love you guys. Doing God's work, Quartz. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. I'm taking that association away from him. God bless. It is my stream now. These are my r/no-sleeps. Quartz doesn't suck, so true. That was such a conceited thing for me to say. Good lord. Anyway. Don't put me on a pedestal. Thank you. Anyway. We're gonna read... I don't know how many I have. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know how many I have for you guys. I'm terrified that you can see what exactly the drop-down menu looks like, so hang on. Oh no, you can't see it, thank God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 scary stories for you all tonight. Will we make it through them all? I don't know, but this first one is probably one of my favorites. Not my all-time favorite, r/nosleep, but it's one of my favorites, and it's called Holes. It's a bit of a doozy, but let's go. Shall we? I'm not a horrible, terrible, awful person. Fuck, I'm so conceited and vain. Courts probably stop. Ugh! I'm gonna make mistakes and stuff, that's what I mean. Just don't put me on a pedestal anyway. This one's called Holes. Let's begin. I've always wanted to share this experience with someone who can relate, and since the therapist I saw as a result of this happening couldn't, maybe r/nosleep can. When I was about 7 to 8 years old, I lived with my grandparents in South Carolina. They had this big house that used to be a stop on the Underground Railroad, and I used to love discovering all the cool passageways that ran all over the place. When I wasn't doing that, my grandfather took me fishing and hunting while my grandmother would teach me how to sew and cook. Kind of girly things for a little boy to be doing, but those skills definitely helped me out in the long run. Excuse me. My folks were military, so rather than drag me around and traumatize me with multiple moves, they had me stay with my grandparents. My room sat at essentially the middle of the house. It was surrounded on all sides by thick walls which used to house passageways, but had since been sealed off. I hung up pictures and cool things befitting an 8-year-old's room. I loved the house, but it started to feel a little off after a while. I noticed that my things kept disappearing. Nothing incredibly valuable, just trivial things like my toothbrushes and combs. No, they never reappeared at some random place, and I would never see them again. My grandparents spent a fortune on my various grooming products, I imagine. It was just my stuff, though, which left me and my family in confusion. They used to joke that a ghost must have taken a liking to me. Oops. They were kidding, of course, but I started to get really freaked out over this notion. I started paying attention to very minor noises and details, and whenever something odd did present itself, it would creep me out to the extreme. I remember drying a favorite shirt of mine, only to come back 5 minutes later to find the dryer door open and my shirt gone. My things would be moved. Pictures of me that were on the walls would go missing. Most importantly, these little holes started appearing in the walls around the house. They first showed up in my room. Then they just popped up all over the house. The kitchen, the bathrooms, the living room. Everywhere except the master bedroom where my grandparents slept. This really creeped me out. So one night, I decided I was going to sleep in their room. I slept in a pretty comfy sleeping bag on the floor, and for the first time in a while, I felt pretty safe. 2 a.m. rolls around, and I wake up to this weird tapping sound. It's almost as if someone was hammering something a little ways off. It was the middle of the country, and people are often awake doing random things at all hours, so I started to just write it off. The moment I started to shrug it off, I happened to look at the far wall, directly facing me. Hang on, I gotta turn on my light. My banana lights. Sorry, I broke up the momentum. I had to turn on my banana lights. Just in time to see a jagged piece of wall fall out, leaving another tiny hole. I yelled and woke my grandparents. They were genuinely upset for me, so we packed up a few things and left for a weekend. When we got back, the first thing I noticed is that almost everything in the house that had been anything to do with me was either gone or damaged. My room was now host to at least 30 different holes, all in varying shapes and sizes. I was exhausted, and all I wanted to do was go to bed. Me and my grandparents stood in my room and demanded whatever was in the house to leave me alone. There was no great relief. There was no angry outburst. There was no ghostly laughter. Just silence and me feeling scared and a little silly. I decided to be brave and stay in my room that night. I awoke around 12 a.m. to a thump. The kind I usually attribute to my family moving around knocking into a wall. I started drifting back off, only to hear another thump. Then another. Eventually, these grew pretty rhythmic. I was scared out of my mind. I bolted upright and started scanning around my room. I grabbed the flashlight that I had grown to keep on my nightstand and started shining it everywhere. The floor, the walls, the holes. The thumping stopped, but I kept looking around frantically. Eventually, my beam caught something shiny and I fixated on it. As soon as I realized what it was, I screamed and started crying like a little girl for my parents. It was a human eye. My grandparents came in and saw this, an unblinking human eye staring out at the room. The police were called and came immediately. They opened the sealed portions of the house and searched every passageway they could find. Eventually, they came to the section behind my far wall, where the eye was located. I wasn't privy to the information when I was that young, but when I got older, my grandparents told me what it was. The police came upon this tiny room, only big enough to hold one person comfortably, if only barely. They were first greeted by what they described as a thick layer of garbage and waste. Most of this garbage was my things that had gone missing. My combs, my toothbrushes, my socks, my shoes, my washcloths, my favorite shirt. At the wall, surrounded by pictures of me, was a man. He was completely naked. The only thing keeping him upright was a belt around his neck, looped over a nearby low rafter. The cause of death was autoerotic asphyxiation. He had died staring at me, pleasuring himself, surrounded by his sick fascination with me. I don't think there's any getting over it. I can't stand the dark now, and now when I go to sleep, all I can think about are holes. So that was holes. I completely forgot that this one, ended that way, because I remembered it, there were holes that popped out from this person's room. But I couldn't remember how it ended. I thought it was a ghost, because, it's been so many years since I read it, or, listened to it. But, God. It's crazy, this one. I think about this one so often, it's not even funny. It freaked me out when I was little, and it still kind of freaks me out even now. This type of shit really fucks with me, people secretly living in your house and shit. I know, oh my god. This stuff fucks me up too. That's why that's why I have a lot of lights in my room, because I am terrified of the dark. I know it's a childish thing to admit, but I'm afraid of the dark because I have intense paranoia surrounding people breaking into my house, because there was an incident when I was 15 where my dog got left outside and I didn't know, so I was up at an early hour, I want to say 3 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep because I was just having a horrible time, and my dog was scratching at the front door and the back door. He kept going around the house over and over, and I was terrified that someone was trying to break into the house, so I woke my mom up and was like, Mom, I think there's somebody trying to get in the house. And she was like, what? And I was like, just listen, there's somebody scratching at the door. And she sat and listened for a bit, and the scratching at the door happened, and then she was like, well, the dog would have started barking. And then she was like, wait, where's the dog? And then she let the dog in, and I've been terrified ever since. Kind of reminds me of Pen Pal. I remember the stalker in that one lived in the crawl space under their house and had a similar obsession with the protagonist. God, we need to read through Pen Pal sometime. I fucking love Pen Pal. It was such a good /no sleep, and it's kind of so surreal to see it turned into a book that's gotten popular on BookTube. Everyone is praising, and I'm just like, bitch, I read that ages ago when I was 13. So it's so surreal to see all these people read something that I read when I was a child. So I was just like, oh, I got ahead of the curve. I think there's a Junji Ito story that has a similar plot but more controlling and less sexual. Yeah, that's fair. I'd have to look into that one. Wasn't there a chapter of Uzumaki where their neighbor made a hole in their wall and watched them through it? It was super creepy and weird. I don't know. I never finished Uzumaki, which is on me. I should. I started Uzumaki like forever ago, and I never ended up finishing it. Because I didn't have time to. But God, I need to read Uzumaki. Anyway, yeah. That was holes, everybody. Next one! Next one we're reading is like a little bit of a poem. But I still love it anyway. And it's called The Rotted Man. Not to be mistaken with The Crooked Man. Beloved RPG Maker horror game. Crooked Man. I love that game so much. We played it on the channel 2 years ago. I couldn't beat the final boss, so I just had to tell everyone what the ending was because I just couldn't. I couldn't beat the boss. I've got a physical copy of Pen Pal now, and it's super weird to hold it in my hands, lol. I know, I need to get my own copy of it, damn it. I keep forgetting. Ugh. But I want to get my own copy of Pen Pal so bad, because I love Pen Pal, and I read it, the original r/nosleep forever ago. Lots of mans in horror, LMAO. Yeah, the real horror is men. let's be honest. Uzumaki is one of my favorite pieces of horror media I've ever consumed ever, full stop. That's totally fair. I don't think I have a favorite horror piece of media. I know my first horror movie ever was The Shining, but that doesn't necessarily make it a favorite. What a sad life I live. Anyway, let's read The Rotted Man, shall we? It goes a little something like this. When I was a child of only 3, the rotted man came for me. Late one night, from my open door, he slowly crept across the floor. God, I can't read, I'm so sorry. He took me by the hand and said, "I'll save you from this life of dread." It doesn't rhyme, but okay. He left the house in the early morn and took his carriage of blackened thorn. We rode for hours through thick, dense fog to a darkened, unlit swamp-filled bog, where topless trees with hanging moss were shields from the unseen winter frost. The thick, wet heat from the dense, cool air crept up your back and through your hair. He took me to his house of bones on a path laid with cobblestones. Upon his door hung a head of a child with hair of fiery red. His hall was bathed in blood-red tile. The walls were stacked of flesh in piles. He told me of his protective view and begged that I should join him too. He smiled, and through his rotted lips I saw 1,000 children's fingertips. Sorry. Keep going. He promised me the world would pay and told me that I could stay. Then we entered a smaller room, and the rotted man gave me a red balloon. Then I saw my mom through tinted glass. The man with her was talking fast. The tears were pouring from her eyes, the man that held her while she cried. Then the rotted man did the strangest thing. He sat down with me and began to sing a song. Oh my god. A soft, nice tune that filled my head with puppy dogs and fresh baked bread. It was then I noticed that the rotted man was simply old and had a tan. And then my mom burst in the room, the feel of warmth, her sweet perfume. She hugged me tight and swore to me, from here on out, Dad would let us be. No more bruises, no more fights, no more screaming in the night. The rotted man had saved our lives by taking those who beat their wives and children that cry when they're dropped and are beaten senseless until they stop. I thank the rotted man a lot, and never have I forgot that the thing I feared saved my life. They had found my father. They had found my father. They had found my father with a knife. There are real horrors on this earth. Some are subjected to them at birth. We were saved by a man made of rot. I was lucky, but many are not. Courts poetry, I'm feeling kind of different right now. I'm so sorry I started laughing because I was absurdly dumb. Oh, fuck, dude. Jesus, that's so... Oh, my God. What a twist. I think the thing that got me to start laughing in the first place was... First of all, hang on. Thick, wet heat from dense, cool air. That doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Unless I'm dumb. I sincerely was like, what? Thick, wet heat from dense, cool air? What? That doesn't make any sense. I just legit couldn't fathom what that meant, and I still can't. And then took me to his house of bones. I'm real edgy. It was hung a head of a child with fiery red hair, fiery red. I just thought of Beverly from fucking Stephen King's It, because I was like, oh my god, January embers, my heart burns there too, or whatever the fuck that poem is that Ben reads to Beverly or makes for Beverly or whatever about her hair. His hall was bathed in blood-red tile, and the walls were stacked of flesh and piles. Oh my god, it gets edgy. And then the thing that broke me completely was just... He was old and had a tan. Oh my fucking god. I understand what the poem was going for. Oops, knocking over shit. I understand what the poem was going for, and I appreciate the message that it was trying to send about a subversive horror tale that kills abusers that go after their children as well as their partners. I completely like that sentiment a lot, that there's this kind of story out there for like a child to hang on to be like, oh, there is hope, but also it's just kind of weirdly written and it's not scary in the slightest. You just remind me how fucking weird Stephen King was about Beverly, goddammit. Oh yeah, I know. Don't even remind me. Stephen King was so fucking weird about Bev, and I just hate it so bad. There's a painting on my wall that I did of Beverly from It when I was heavily hyperfixated on It back in, like, what, 2019, I think? I have a painting I did of her on my wall because she's, like, a comfort character of mine. I love her to bits and pieces. She's probably one of my favorites. But I just fucking hate how Stephen King treated her. And also, I don't even want to bring up the fucking one chapter in the book because everyone knows about it. It's been memed about, but also it's incredibly disturbing. Why did he do that? Why? I don't even think the drugs were an excuse at that point. The guy just was like, fuck it. Child orgy. Good God, man. Not even to mention all the other fucking bullshit in that book. Anyway, we're veering off topic. I was also hyperfixated on it. I think we deserve financial compensation. We do! We do deserve financial compensation for all the bullshit we had to endure from fucking Stephen King. That guy fucking sucks. I'm taking his characters. He doesn't deserve them anymore. I'm stealing Carrie. I'm stealing the kids from the Losers Club from It. They're mine now. I'm also taking the kids from Stand By Me because he also wrote that one too. I'm stealing those kids too. He doesn't deserve any of those characters. Absolutely fucking not. Anyway, we're veering off topic very quickly. Rotted Man, not scary. it's not. I appreciate that this person went through a lot of loopholes to try to get a poem that, good lord, that rhymed, but at the same time, the imagery of it just is very outdated, and it does not feel as it should. The tone of it, everywhere. Oh yes, I'm also stealing Dick Halloran. That guy deserves way better. Come over here, Dick Halloran. Anyway. Scatman Crothers, who played him in the movie, that guy was stellar. Fucking Scatman Crothers, my beloved. Anyway. We're moving on from the rotted man. We could sit here forever. Oh. I forgot about that. So this one's called Obsessive Compulsive, and alas, I can't avoid the fact that this person just linked the reading of this r/nosleep to the person that I was alluding to before. Now you guys know who it is. If you didn't know previously, now you know. I'm not gonna talk about him at length. He was somebody that I watched pretty much quite a bit of my time in like 2012, 2013. I did eventually lose touch with watching him. He introduced me to a lot of my favorite games, such as Fragile Dreams, Rule of Rose, even Corpse Party, and also was the first person that I watched that did creepypasta readings that I thoroughly enjoyed, even if they scared me. But, I don't associate with him in any way anymore. Haven't for several years now, like over a decade of my life. I have not touched his content. The only time that I even did was during the beginning of the pandemic. I was interested to see how he was doing because I remembered him, and then I found the video and then subsequently fell down the rabbit hole of learning what exactly he did. And no, I don't agree with what he did, and I never did. I will never agree. This guy, that he sucks. Fuck him. This is why exactly I'm stealing all of the fucking r/nosleeps that he's read that were my favorites and making them mine now. I did it with the last time we did this. I read We Don't Talk About Sarah, Mason. I don't remember. Did I read Iqbar Bigelstein last time? I don't remember. But if I did not, then I should. If I did, then good, because a lot of those are my favorites. So yeah, fuck that guy. He introduced me to creepypasta when I was very young, so he is unfortunately inseparable from my taste. It sucks. He turned out to be such a piece of shit. Exactly. It's the same thing with me when it comes to my favorite games of all time, like Fragile Dreams and Rule of Rose. I cannot separate the fact that I was introduced to those games because of him, and that they're my favorites of all time because of him. But I can just say they are my favorite games and not have to introduce the fact that he introduced me to them. I can just say I found them independently. Anyway, fuck him. He sucks. Let's read a r/nosleep, shall we? This one's called Obsessive Compulsive. This one is is very graphic. And also, I'm pretty sure this is not an accurate representation of OCD, as far as I can recall. I do not have OCD. I think in the past I was like toying with the idea that I might have OCD, but I've done a lot of research into it since that time, and no, I do not have OCD. Definitively, I can say I don't have OCD, but those who do have OCD, I would like some insight into whether or not you feel this is an idea of OCD, but personally, from what I understand, this is not an accurate representation of OCD, and also it's very graphic, so take care of yourselves. Alright, not that the last ones weren't graphic, but like, you know, this one is especially graphic, so Take care, alright? So it goes a little something like this. Hello. I suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder, which is an anxiety disorder in which people have unwanted and repeated thoughts, feelings, ideas, or behaviors. In other words, my life is a systematic pattern. But yesterday, I experienced a flaw in my own system. I awoke that morning in my lakeside home property at 6:45 a.m., as I do every morning. Before leaving my bedroom, I made sure to touch the doorknob 3 times. I have to. I need to. On my way downstairs, I made sure not to step on the second to last step. I never touch that step. I just can't. I made my usual breakfast of toast, scrambled eggs, and black coffee. I never eat anything else in the morning, just always those 3. Turning my iPad on, I made sure to check the local news headlines, like usual. But today something was missing. I couldn't place my finger on it. Did I forget something? The strange feeling lingered with me all the way to my car. On my way out the front door, I made certain to lock my door, then unlock it, and lock it again. Driving to work, I couldn't help but feel like a part of me was missing. What did I miss? How could I possibly have missed it? I hoped that the feeling would surpass while at work that day. It didn't. It stayed with me for 12 whole hours. I left the office around 6:45 p.m. to head back home. About 25 minutes into my commute, I stopped for the red traffic light at the intersection of Marbury and Westway. But as the light turned from red to green, I couldn't help but feel that strange sensation again. The only other person near me was the man driving behind me. He blared his horn for me to get going, but instead of accelerating, I just unrolled my window and motioned for him to go around me. He did. I dreadfully sat there in my car, still stopped at the intersection. Something is seriously wrong. What am I missing here? I made sure to touch everything in my car, hoping that would spark my memory. I touched the dashboard, the leather seats, the emergency brake, and even the roof. It did nothing for me. Arriving home, I pulled my '74 Mustang into the garage. I washed the car every weekday, never on the weekends. I only washed the front of the car, and the back. Never the sides. No matter how dirty they get, I never wash the sides. I simply just can't. But something else seemed to be missing from my daily routine as I washed. No, not again. First the news, then the intersection, now this. Finishing up with the car, I jogged out to the backyard. Only jog. Never walk. Never run. Opening up the tool shed, I felt yet another thing missing from my pattern. I screamed, "This isn't right! This isn't right! This isn't right!" I stumbled out the shed and gazed out at the lake. It always seemed to calm me when my anxiety got out of control. But tonight, all I wanted to do was sleep. I needed to finish the day. Or finish this day. The next morning, I awoke at 6:45 a.m., touched the doorknob 3 times, made sure not to step on the second to last step on my way to the kitchen. I prepared my toast, scrambled eggs, and black coffee. I turned on the iPad, browsed the local news. It's still missing. I became aggravated. What is it I could possibly be missing? I began to feel nauseous. Hurrying out the door in a vicious rage, I quickly locked the door, unlocked it, and locked it again. I drove off to work. I tend to get a lot of work done when I'm upset, strangely, so at least I felt some accomplishment when I left the office at 6:45 p.m. I drove fast on my way home. Very fast. What am I missing? I approached the red light at Marbury and Westway. Come on, think. A man was walking in the middle of the intersection, on his way to the other side. Why can't I remember? The man's head spun as he noticed my Mustang coming straight for him at 85 miles per hour. I noticed him too. A wave of horror crossed over my face as I watched him dive to one side. I swerved into the same direction. A loud clunk was made as I crushed the man underneath my vehicle. Oh God. Jumping out of my car, I hesitated on what to do. He lay there writhing in agony, making horrendous guttural wails. I popped open the trunk to my Mustang, lifted the screaming man, and heaved him in. I drove. I Upon entering my garage, I made sure to wash the blood off the front and rear of the car. The sides were not necessary. After dragging his broken body out to the backyard, I jogged to the shed. Inside were black garbage bags, cinder blocks, and a hacksaw. After dismembering the man, I was able to fit both the remains and a cinder block into the bag. Dropping him off into the lake was all that was left to do. The following morning, I made sure to wake up at 6:45 a.m. and touch my doorknob 3 times before skipping the second-to-last step on my way to the kitchen. While eating my toast, scrambled eggs, and black coffee, I browsed the local news on my iPad. The top headline: Hit-and-run serial killer strikes again. I smiled. Back to normal. Okay, so that was obsessive compulsive. I'm gonna just take a sip. Just seeing this now that, people who have OCD are not serial killers. Getting that out of the way right now. I think this is why I said this is not an accurate representation of OCD, and I'm sure you guys could, like, picture that. I guess the routine of, like, touching a doorknob or skipping a step and eating the same meal over and over, like, having a routine to do things, is kind of OCD-esque, but I don't think necessarily, like, because OCD, some people have reasons as to why they don't do something, or why they do something, and a lot has to do with, the fear that something bad is going to happen. Like, I guess a more accurate way that this could be put is I skipped the second to last step because I'm afraid that I'm going to trip and fall and die. So I skip that step so I don't die. Or I touch the doorknob 3 times because I feel like something bad will happen to me if I don't touch the doorknob 3 times. Something to that effect. I did an entire paper with a group back in college about OCD, so I have some knowledge on it, but of course I'm not going to have as much knowledge about OCD as someone who does have OCD, so that's why I was like, hey, people with OCD, can you guys, like, weigh in? I don't have OCD, but I've got a close friend who does this, and this doesn't seem close, lol. Who does, and this doesn't seem close, lol. Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with, like, intrusive thoughts and fears and such like that. As far as I understand. Not every single person who has OCD is gonna think that way, but that's some common symptoms of OCD and how people justify a lot of what they do. Not even justify, it's just why they go about doing that, I guess. And how it's normal to them. They don't like to do it, of course. It's not something they like to do because they want to live a regular, normal life according to, neurotypical society. But alas, being neurodivergent, having OCD is very deliberating, and especially those who have extreme OCD where they just legitimately cannot do a lot of things in their life without going through and doing specific things. Needless to say, no, this is not an accurate, from what I understand, an accurate representation or even a somewhat good representation of somebody who has OCD. This is just somebody using OCD to create a storytelling device. And to me, the scariest thing about this is the misrepresentation of OCD. Granted, this was written 12 years ago now, but this still is not an excuse, you know what I mean? The societal consequences of that one Rhett and Link song. Oh yeah, I forgot they did an entire song about OCD. I know they put a disclaimer in that in the description of that song that was like, "Oh, we understand that we are not trying to demonize OCD or whatever." And it's like, but guys, I hate to break it to you, but you still did a whole lot of harm by making that song. You know? Anyways, it's Disability Awareness Month, and you know what that means? People who have OCD fall under that, fall into the label of disabled. all of you guys who have OCD, I love you to bits and pieces. And I hope that you guys are doing well, those of you who have OCD. All my love your way. You don't deserve the demonization, and neither do you deserve misrepresentation, nor do you deserve to be shit on for the fact that you can't control the fact that you have things that you have to do, like touching a doorknob, or going and checking the door to see if it's locked at a specific time, or anything, having intrusive thoughts that suck, and you don't want them to come to you because they suck. They're harmful and even disturbing in a lot of instances. You guys are valid and wonderful and amazing, and you don't deserve shit for that. Love you guys. Always and forever. Not just for this month, always and forever. All disabled people, I love you guys. Mwah. Alright. We are moving along. This one, I don't know why it's got NSFW content. From what I recall, this is not... I don't think it's got anything TOS. Actually, I'm gonna like double check it real quick. I don't know why it's labeled as NSFW. I legitimately cannot fathom it. Because I can't... Because from what I remember, there's nothing explicit? Yeah, there's nothing explicit. Yeah, so I skimmed it real quick. I think we're fine. It scared me for a second. I've read this one. I remember really liking it. I really like this one too. This one is called Autopilot. Of course, like, I've already read to you guys my favorites, which are like We Don't Talk About Sarah, Iqbal Bigelstein, Mason. Those ones are definitely my favorites of all time in terms of r/nosleeps. This one's definitely up there in terms of like good r/nosleeps, but we'll see if it holds up to this day. So it goes a little something like this. Have you ever forgotten your phone? When did you realize you'd forgotten it? I'm guessing you didn't just smack your forehead and exclaim, "Damn," apropos of nothing. The realization probably didn't dawn on you spontaneously. More likely, you reached for your phone, pawing open your pocket or handbag, and were momentarily confused by it not being there. Then you did a mental restep of the morning's events. Shit. In my case, my phone's alarm woke me up as normal, but I realized the battery was lower than I expected. It was a new phone, and it had this annoying habit of leaving applications running that drained the battery overnight. So I put it on the charge while I showered instead of into my bag like normal. It was a momentary slip from the routine, but that was all it took. Once in the shower, my brain got back into the routine it follows every morning, and that was it. Forgotten. This wasn't just me being clumsy, as I later researched. This is a recognized brain function. Your brain doesn't just work on one level, it works on many. Like when you're walking somewhere, you think about your destination and avoiding hazards, but you don't need to think about keeping your legs moving properly. If you did, the entire world would turn into one massive hilarious Quap cosplay. Good God. Anyone remember Quap? Jesus Christ, that's throwback. I wasn't thinking about regulating my breathing. I was thinking about whether I should grab a coffee on the drive to work. I did. I wasn't thinking about moving my breakfast through my intestines. I was wondering whether I'd finish on time to pick up my daughter Emily from nursery after work or get stuck with another late fee. This is the thing. There's a level of your brain that just deals with routine, so that the rest of the brain can think about other things. Think about it. Think about your last commute. What do you actually remember? Little, if anything, probably. Most common journeys blur into one, and recalling any one in particular is scientifically proven to be difficult. Do something often enough and it becomes routine. Keep doing it, and it stops being processed by the thinking bit of the brain and gets regulated to a part of the brain dedicated to dealing with routine. Your brain keeps doing it, without you thinking about it. Soon, you think about your route to work as much as you do keeping your legs moving when you walk, as in, not at all. Most people call it autopilot, but there's danger there. If you have a break in your routine, your ability to remember and account for the break is only as good as your ability to stop your brain going into routine mode. My ability to remember my phone being on the counter is only as reliable as my ability to stop my brain entering morning routine mode, which would dictate that my phone is actually in my bag. But I didn't stop my brain entering routine mode. I got in the shower as normal. Routine started. Exception forgotten. Autopilot engaged. My brain was back in the routine. I showered. I shaved. The radio forecast amazing weather. I gave Emily her breakfast and loaded her into the car. She was so adorable that morning. She complained about the bad sun in the morning blinding her, saying it stopped her from having a little sleep on the way to the nursery, and left. That was the routine. It didn't matter that my phone was on the counter, charging silently. My brain was in the routine, and in the routine, my phone was in my bag. This is why I forgot my phone. Not clumsiness, not negligence, nothing more than my brain entering routine mode and overriding the exception. Autopilot engaged. I left for work. It's a swelteringly hot day already. The bad sun had been burning since before my traitorously absent phone woke me. The steering wheel was burning hot to the touch when I sat down. I think I heard Emily shift over behind my driver's seat to get out of the glare. But I got to work. Submitted the report, attended the morning meeting. It's not until I took a quick coffee break and reached for my phone that the illusion shattered. I did a mental re-step. I remembered the battery dying. The battery dying. Good God, I'm having a horrible time. I remembered putting it on to charge. I remembered leaving it there. My phone was on the counter. Autopilot disengaged. Again, therein lies the danger. Until you have that moment, the moment you reach for your phone and shatter the illusion, that part of the brain is still in routine mode. It has no reason to question the facts of the routine. That's why it's a routine. Attrition of repetition. It's not as if anyone could say, "Why didn't you remember your phone? Didn't it occur to you? How could you forget? You must be negligent." This is to miss the point. My brain was telling me the routine was completed as normal, despite the fact that it wasn't. It wasn't that I forgot my phone. According to my brain, according to the routine, my phone was in my bag. Why would I think to question it? Why would I check? Why would I suddenly remember, out of nowhere, that my phone was on the counter? My brain was wired into the routine, and the routine was that my phone was in my bag. The day continued to bake. The morning haze gave way to the relentless fever heat of the afternoon. Tarmac bubbled. Direct beams of heat threatened to crack the pavement. People swapped coffees for iced smoothies. Jackets discarded, sleeves rolled up, ties loosened, brows mopped. The park slowly filled with sunbathers and barbecues. Window frames threatened to warp. The thermometer continued to swell. Thank fuck the offices were air-conditioned. But, as ever, the furnace of the day gave way to a cooler evening. Another day, another dollar. Still cursing myself for forgetting my phone, I drove home. The day's heat had baked the inside of the car, releasing a horrible smell from somewhere. When I arrived on the driveway, the stones crunching comfortingly under my tires, my wife greeted me at the door. "Where's Emily?" Fuck. As if the phone wasn't bad enough. After everything, I'd left Emily at the fucking nursery after all. I immediately sped back to the nursery. I got to the door and started practicing my excuses, wondering vainly if I could charm my way out of a late fee. I saw a piece of paper stuck to the door. Due to vandalism overnight, please use side door today only. Overnight? What? The door was fine this I froze. My knees shook. Vandals. A change in the routine. My phone was on the counter. I hadn't been here this morning. My phone was on the counter. I'd driven past because I was drinking my coffee. I'd not dropped off Emily. My phone was on the counter. She'd moved her seat. I hadn't seen her in the mirror. My phone was on the counter. She'd fallen asleep, out of the bed, son. She didn't speak when I drove past her nursery. My phone was on the counter. She'd changed the routine. My phone was on the counter. She'd changed the routine and I'd forgotten to drop her off. My phone was on the counter. 9 hours. That car. That baking sun. No air. No water. No power. No help. That heat. A steering wheel too hot to touch. That smell. I walked to the car door. Numb. Shock. I opened the door. My phone was on the counter, and my daughter was dead. Autopilot disengaged. And that was Autopilot. I'm surprised by this one, actually. I thought it wouldn't hold up, and it kind of does, except I don't like the roundabout explanation that it kept doing. I guess that was the point of it, was to keep going around in a circle to, like, continually explain itself, because this person was, like, I guess, like, making up a reason, was making up a reason, like, for why their routine was, like, messed up or whatever. Justifying it, that's the word I was looking for. It was good, though. I really liked it. I think this still holds up to this day. And even, like, the ending part is still so good. Like, the interspersed, like, my phone was on the counter, and then, like, the build-up to, like, the very last line, where it's, my phone was on the counter and my daughter was dead. So fucking good. That's incredible. I love it. I'm kind of wondering if this specific r/nosleep inspired me a little bit when I was young into my current writing, because I kind of write lines like that, where I write something and then, like, do, like, a repeat like that. I don't know. I'll have to investigate that further. I might just be a coincidence, but to me it reads like desperate justification for the mistake. Yeah, that's what I mean. I guess I didn't explain myself well. But yeah, it definitely reads like a justification of their daughter dying. It's cool. God, sometimes you read some bangers and sometimes you read the shittest things ever, and this was definitely a banger, I will say. It was very good. I loved it a lot. Alright. We have one last one that is, this one's very graphic from what I remember. We have one last one from the, that specific older era of r/nosleeps, and then we have a whole bunch of newer ones that I'm gonna pluck through and read. One of my other goat no sleeps is something walks whistling past our house at 3:30 a.m. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. I don't think I'm familiar with that one. It sounds familiar, but I don't remember. I don't remember. Did I read you guys World's Best School Psychologist? I can't fucking remember. That one's probably also up there as one of my favorites. It's so eerie. I think about World's Best School Psychologist so often. I actually told that story to the kids that kept, you know, pestering me for horror stories. I told them that one because that one's probably, like, one of my favorites. I don't know if I read that one or not. I think I did, but God, I love it so much and I think about it all the goddamn time. Not as much as Mason or we don't talk about Sarah. But yeah, definitely still up there as a good one. I should read to you guys The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas one day. That one was also pretty good from what I remember. But also my memories of that one are hazy. I remember drawing something for it, but I don't remember the ones you read from the last r/nosleep stream. I was gone for most of it, lol. Yeah, that's fair. You know what? Actually, I can check real quick, because it's on my channel. It's on my channel. I posted that. It's on my channel. I could easily check it at any time. Hold on a moment. I'm checking something. This thing has 110 views. What the fuck? Oh, I did read you guys World's Best School Psychologist. I did. I read you guys. I did read Iqbar Begelstein as well. World's Best School Psychologist. I'm at your bedroom window. She found her way into my home. Children's playground. Mason, and we don't talk about Sarah. Okay, cool. Sick. The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas is great. Same author as Boraska. Her stuff is always really great. I haven't read Boraska. I know, but all I know is Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas. Anyway. Wait, no, that's a different story with almost identical title. I'll ignore my ramblings. No worries. Anyway. This one is called Symmetry. This one's very graphic. If you guys don't like gore, especially to do with eyes, then I suggest you, like, click off this one, for a bit. It's very graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. But it's probably... This one I remember very vividly, because every time I would listen to it, the sound effects stick in my brain so vividly for this one. I'm not going to do any sound effects. The only sound effects I did were for holes, but I'm not going to do any sound effects for this one because they're too graphic. But yeah, viewer discretion advised. If you don't like gore involving eyes, then you just skip this one. And it goes a little something like this. I love symmetry. I'm not exactly sure why, but I've loved it since I was a kid. Most children are messy and forgetful of their things. Not me. I knew everything has a place in my room. Everything was right where it belongs. My parents didn't have it. My grandparents didn't have it either. Not a single person in my family had it. I've started referring to it as it because I truly believe it's a thing inside me. A stowaway that shouldn't be there but lives inside me. It's a need, a desire, a longing to be perfect. Perfect on both sides. As an adult, I'm at that point where I can't live my life normally. I can't keep a job. Women don't stay with me because they can't handle it. Honestly, I don't care when they leave. They're messy and make things difficult. I can't relate. I love women too much to say that. That's fuck you, dude. Anyway. They roll over to my side of the bed instead of staying on their own. They leave dishes in one side of the sink but not the other. I can't work anymore, so when they leave for the day, I have to stay home and fix everything. It's a relief when they leave for good. That feeling never lasts, though. Eventually, it comes back and finds something else that needs fixing. Good God. You may be asking, why would I seek out relationships to begin with if I can't stand them? Well, it's hard for me to sleep in the middle of the bed all night without moving. Other than the relationship problem, my life is pretty much in order. I'd say pretty much because there is one last issue that must be dealt with. You see, I have what's called heterochromia iridium, or 2 different colored irises. My right eye was cornflower blue, my left pale green. Both my parents have cornflower blue eyes, my siblings and cousins as well. My green eye is the broken one. It makes me unbalanced. Every time I look at myself in the mirror, it stares right back at me. It's all I can think about now. Everything is in its place except my green little mistake. It didn't hurt at first when I dug the spoon under my eye. It didn't even hurt when it popped out and was hanging by my cheek. Was it shock that was keeping the pain away, or was it? I snipped the optic nerve and blotted the warm fluids that were streaming down my face. My vision being cut in half was a strange sensation. What was left of the dangling flesh I placed back in the now empty hole. I bandaged the wound, rinsed the spoon, and went to sleep. I woke up happy. I slept better than I had in years. It was finally done. I was fixed. I got out of bed and stumbled to the bathroom. My body ached and my head was on fire. I flipped the switch in the bathroom and the light was, well, blinding. I slowly removed the bandage that was soaked with blood and was sticking to my face like tape. When I looked up to the mirror, my stomach turned. Only then had I realized what I'd done to myself, and I couldn't believe it. There was a hole in the left side of my face, but not the right. I was unbalanced again. It was much harder digging out the second eye. My hands were shaky, and when I dug the spoon in, I missed several times, puncturing my pupil 3 times before I got it in the right place. Once the eye popped out, I reached for my scissors to finish the job. The blood from the previous night had dried on the blades, so the scissors didn't cut very well. You know when you were a kid in elementary school and your teacher made you cut construction paper for art projects? Did you ever try to cut too many pieces at once, but the scissors couldn't take it? The blades would kind of fold over each other and the paper would get pinned between them. That's what happened with my eye. The optic nerve was pinned between the 2 blades. It was stuck, and as I was desperately and frantically trying to make it unstuck, I slipped on the blood and started falling to the floor. Reflexes kicked in, and I let go of my eye to try to break my fall with my hand. The weight of the stuck scissors on my hanging eye was unbearable. I knew I couldn't stand it long enough to make it to the kitchen to get a knife, so I pulled it straight out of my head. I felt the flesh tear from inside my skull. I felt it rip and spew liquids everywhere. I knew I was crying, but there was no telling the tears from the blood from the ocular fluid. When I heard the wet slap of bloody flesh against the tile floor, I knew I was done. I knew it was done. I could live my life now without having to see people's awful, messy, uneven lives. The relief washed over me, and I knew it would last this time. I had never felt this way before. Never had this much hope. As I laid in my bathroom on that cold, wet, sticky tile, I smiled for the first time in years. Dictated, but not read. And that was Symmetry. I see Leah's freak out in the chat, and it's kind of funny. I remember the very first time I ever heard this read, there were sound effects being played in the background the whole time. From the snipping of the eye to the it being yanked out and all the flesh making that gross fleshy noise and stuff. And it was it's so vivid. I could literally see it the whole time that he was describing it and the sound effects were playing. I was like, oh, I legit thought that he went ahead and did that somehow. I don't know how he did it. And I was 12. Can you blame me? I was just like, how did he do that? Oh, real, of course he probably made the sound effects himself, but still, it's so vivid. It's so vivid, and this one stands as probably the most disturbing r/no sleep from my youth in terms of gore, not in terms of psychological stuff. In terms of gore, this is probably cream of the crop for me. Screaming right now, this is literally a gory episode of Mr. Bean. It is a bit comedic in a way, but honestly though, this is oh god. There's also dripping sounds coming from the ambiance I've put on in the background, so it kind of sounds a bit like what the sound effects sounded like the whole time I was doing that. I was just like, oh, don't pay attention to it, or you're gonna make it worse. So, yeah. Okay, so first of all, dude thinks initially that his face will be symmetrical if he removes one of his eyes. Like, motherfucker, there will be a hole in one side of your face. Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's trying to remove the imperfection in his face so that he has, he doesn't have to look at it anymore. But also then he's like, oh shit, there's a hole in the side of my face. And then he's like, oh, I gotta rectify it. And then he just pulls out his other eye. Now he has no eyes. He will never see symmetry again. And I guess that is his bliss, because now he doesn't have to fret about it anymore. He literally says, like, I don't have to worry. Where is it? I could live my life now without having to see people's awful, messy, uneven lives. So I guess that's his win. Because now he doesn't have to see all that shit that's bothered the hell out of him forever. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go out of order with these stories, because there's some that I'm more interested in reading than others. So this first one I'm gonna read to you is called I think something is wrong with my favorite YouTuber. It's a bit of a doozy. There's also one in here that's I picked purely because of the title. This one wasn't one of them. I did actually kind of pick it for the title, but also it looks a bit interesting. I did skim through these to make sure that they weren't TOS. They're fine. They're fine. I have to skim through all of these because otherwise I will get nerfed by YouTube and I don't want to. So this one is called I Think Something Is Wrong With My Favorite YouTuber, and it goes a little something like this. When you grow up on the internet grows up in you too. You can't escape it. Codes get in your head, binary whistles at the edge of your hearing. You see forum posts and raindrops on dead leaves. People drive to work and then back again. Every day, the same thing, like they were long gifts spiraling in and out of the frame. The web is inside all of us, spreading out in our neurons, mirroring the fiber optic cables sprawling across the ocean floor. Me, when 8 p.m. Saturday rolls around and no court stream. Oh. Anyway, by the way, this is my first time reading this all the way through, so you'll get my thoughts, my first-hand thoughts about this after. So, here we go. We're experiencing this together, guys. I skimmed it, of course, to make sure there was nothing bad, but I didn't actually fully read the contents of it, so. They say there are server farms in Utah that when you see them from above, they look like human silhouettes. They say that wasn't the way they were built. I keep thinking about this because of Orwell. Okay, very subtle. I'm watching one of his videos now. He used to be my favorite YouTuber. I had watched him for over a decade, back when he started as a dumb prank channel. Oh boy. I think it's that strange closeness with him. Like, we were friends, even though I only knew him. What? Oh, a parasocial relationship. Although that word always makes me think of infections, of parasites, of something living inside a body that shouldn't be there. He uploaded the video I'm watching right now 2 days ago. There are almost 1 million views, 148 comments. He's updating his relationship status, which is, as it historically always has been for him, very complicated. I'm staring at his eyes as he talks. They're blue, ocean-colored, like they've always been. Nothing's changed. Everything is the same in the ocean, but every wave is new. I look on his Discord. No one is talking about this upload, or at least they aren't talking about what I'm looking for. I respond to some DMs while I'm reading comments. I used to just lurk, never post. That was my whole thing. Sharing too much info online weirded me out. The more you put on the internet, the more it feels like you're making another version of yourself. There's IRL you and then online you. Both can feel separate, distorted mirrors of each other. It was a few months ago, back when I still wasn't commenting, when I noticed people on the server using a running phrase. The hidden videos. I didn't know what it was and no one ever elaborated. I assumed it was just an inside job, or Freudian slip. Oops. It was an inside joke, not an inside job, inside joke. But there was something off about it, a lingering weirdness. Then I started to see it in other places. comments on YouTube videos, hashtags on the hell site. What hell site? Twitter? Tumblr? What are we going on about? Eventually, I started asking in the chat what it meant. No one ever responded, and Googling got me nowhere. Every site online that seemed to have any information was login restricted, which led me to revive my nearly dead social media accounts. That was when things changed. I guess I got so used to logging in and responding to messages, I started posting other stuff about me too. Small things at first. Stuff like complaints about not finding things I was looking for, then links to articles. I never saw Inside Job, so I don't know. What was I? Where was I? I lost it. First thing, a small thing that I was looking for, then links to articles I found interesting or depressing, talking about my day, pics of my dog. At some point, I remember uploading a selfie, watching a little accumulation of hearts grow under the picture. The petite endorphin shot companies talk about that keep us posting, keep us on their platforms, keep us online. At this point, I had started to assume I would never find out what goodness, this person's got a lot of misspellings in their thing. What the hidden videos were. Everything was a dead end. I decided to write it off as another univalve internet joke. What the fuck? Internet mystery? I can't. Good God, I'm having a hard time. Like, who buys the most glitter? Bedsides, I had convinced myself this whole... Besides? Bedsides! Dear God, this is unreadable. Besides, I had convinced myself this whole thing was a dumb joke, an elaborate troll no one talked about. I felt like I had spent 2 months asking what up dog is while everyone tried not to laugh. Which is when I got the DM. It was just a link, nothing else. The kind of thing you'd guess was spam and delete, but it wasn't spam. The hyperlink test read, "Here are the hidden videos." I went to the person's profile who sent it, but there was nothing there. Completely blank. No comment history, no links in their bio. Their username was just a jumble of letters and numbers, and when I searched the combination, I got no hits in response. I messaged them, but they didn't respond. How long did I spend looking at the link? It felt like hours. The text glowing blue the way fires do in ghost stories when the devil is near. Then, finally, I clicked it. The true horror story is when you don't proofread exactly. Me when I'm trying to write something and I accidentally misspell without checking. There was barely any text on the site. I was so used to the overabundance of information on most sites, the staggering amount of empty space seemed almost sinister. No menu, no links to anything, no about button to click. Just 6 embedded videos with dates under them and the hidden videos written at the top of the page. The videos were Orwell posts, all from 3 years ago. 2 were from 2 separate days. The final 4 are all from the same day. I bit my lip and leaned forward to study the images in the thumbnail. All stills of his face. But I didn't think I had ever seen any of them. My heart racing, I clicked play on the first video. It seemed totally normal, just him talking about his day. Uninteresting, kind of boring. Then he said, "Oh, one weird thing did happen." He went out late to the burrito place across the street from his apartment, the one he always went to. The main burrito guy, Adam, laughed when he saw him. "Back already, man?" Adam the burrito guy was a reoccurring character in Orwell's videos. He had a thick Massachusetts accent and frequently told Orwell stories about accidents in his workplace. Orwell said he asked Adam the burrito guy what he was talking about. Adam said, "Dude, you were here an hour ago." Orwell explained he just got there, and Adam said, "Holy shit, do you have a twin? Do you want to watch the CCTV?" I told him that, "Hell yeah, I want to watch the CCTV footage," Orwell said. He cracked his knuckles. I thought that would be fucking baller. So we go in the back, and he fires it up. I felt pretty cool, like I was on some surveillance shit. We fast-forwarded through some customers, and then bang, there was the dude. Guys, he looked exactly like me, like clone level. Adam was helping somebody else, so we watched Jai make his burrito. Oh, and Jai, if you're watching this, Adam said you gave him too much guac. Just thought you should hear it from me, bro. Anyway, he gets his burrito and pays and then looks up at the camera like he was watching the camera. Watching us instead of us watching him. Total weird shit. But dude, if you see this or someone knows you, I want to meet up, alright? I would love to chill with you. Clone Club style. Okay, I'm out. Smash like and subscribe. Prescribe face reveal. What? Prescribe face reveal. Good God. He turned the camera off. That was the end. Frowning, I clicked to the next video. It was from a few weeks later. Yes, I've never had a burrito. Stop rubbing it in that I've never had a burrito. It was from a few weeks later. He looked a little ragged, his hair messier than usual. After a long pause, he began to start talking, apologizing, saying that he had tried to film the video twice, but it hadn't worked. A few days ago, I posted a video about some guy who looks like me, he said. But that video is gone. Which, dude, I don't understand. I didn't delete it. He looks away from the camera, and when he looks back, he said, I think someone is messing with me. Sadie and I were sort of back together. We went to the grocery store tonight, and I saw him. The guy who looks like me. We were in the cereal aisle. Sadie's getting cereal, by the way. Not me. I'm still doing the all-toast breakfast challenge. Rise up, toast family. He raises his arms up and made what seemed to be a bread symbol with outstretched hands. Then he lowered his arms and the enthusiasm vanished from his face, replaced by indecision and concern. But yeah, this dude, he was at the end of the aisle. No cart, nothing. Just standing there staring at me. And this is the weird thing. Sadie was looking at ingredients on some package, and when I said, hey, look at this, and she turned, he was gone. She thinks I'm crazy, I think. He said and laughed, but he didn't look like he thought it was funny. I'm going to find that old video and re-upload it. If anybody knows that guy, tell him I still want to hang, but I'm going to need him to be at least 15% less creepy, maybe 20%. He turned off the camera. The next 3 videos were short, each under a minute. He was filming outside, taking footage of a crowd. You could hear him whispering, but it was unintelligible. I watched them each again, but I couldn't make anything out. Then I saw him at the far edge of a frame. Someone who looked exactly like Orwell. Also, sorry, we gotta get course of burritos. It's just like the soup. God, guys, come on. I'm sorry I haven't had a burrito, okay? Good God. I haven't eaten a lot of foods, alright? I'm sorry. The final video, I hesitated and then clicked. Someone who looked exactly like Orwell was staring at the camera. Final video, I hesitated and then clicked. He seemed frantic, panicky. He was in his house, the living room where he always filmed, talking about how none of his videos were posting. How everyone thinks he's going crazy, but he's not. There was someone with his face following him, he said. He's seen him. He's filmed him. He didn't understand what was happening, but he needed help. Then he froze, his eyes wide. He was whispering, no, 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 and then he got up. His knee hitting his camera, sending it flying. How the fuck did he knee his camera? The picture went sideways, upside down, tilted, and then stabilized, pointing to the couch where he had been filming. I could see an area of the room leading to the kitchen. I could see only the bottom edge of the room, his legs, his shoes. And then someone else walked into the frame. Okay, good God, this is so hard to read. They stopped a few feet away from Orwell. The sound must have gotten screwed up when the camera fell because everything was a hard buzzing. It sounded like a swarm of wasps. Their shoes and legs, they were the same as Orwell. The video went black. As soon as it stopped, I watched it again and again and again. I can't tell you exactly how many times I hit play over and over again for days straight until suddenly the website didn't work. I kept hitting refresh, but my screen simply said Safari couldn't open the page because the server can't be found. Like it was never there. But it had been there. I went back to the message that had the link, but there was nothing in my chat history. The profile of the person who had sent me the message had been deleted. Everything empty, and all I had left was the image of Orwell and whatever it was that looked like him in that room. I've been watching his videos since then, the ones dated after the last one. He looks normal, real, no sign of anything that isn't him. I've started to think all of this is a long con, some kind of ARG. There's no way any of it actually happened. But I keep seeing something in his eyes that wasn't there before. A strange gleam. The way they reflect. I'm watching other videos too. Ones where people mention secret videos in the comment sections. Those comments are all gone too, but I think I see the glow of those people's eyes too. I see the glow in those people's eyes too. An unreal shine. Yesterday I stopped at the gas station on the way home, watching the stupid video on the screen at the pumps. Updated my status on a social media account. As I was leaving, a car pulled up next to me. Pulling out into traffic, I glanced back at my rear view. There I was, stepping out of the other car, staring right back at me. Okay, and that was, I think, something is wrong with my favorite YouTuber. This was not scary. I don't know. A clone of myself out there running around doing God knows what. I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't scare me necessarily. It just kind of is like, I've never been scared of that. Really. But also this one was kind of hard to read because there was just a lot of misspellings. I don't know if English is this person's first language where it was, or if they just were struggling with writing, like they were writing this really late at night and their eyes were just fucking glazing over as they were writing it in the Google Doc or whatever they were using to write it, and they just didn't care to do a goddamn like cursory check over before they posted it. But like, dude, so much of the sentence structures were like crumbling. Buddy, you gotta like do a check to see if you've misspelled things and or if the sentence makes sense, because if I'm struggling to read it, then I'm not gonna get immersed in the little world that you're trying to build, because it seems like an interesting thing that this person is putting together, but I was sadly taken out of it multiple times because I was struggling to read the thing. Not even just because I was stuttering, because that's typically what happens when I do read these things, but because I just was not, the sentence structures, like, this point, just misspelling Orwell a whole bunch. There's potential here, absolutely. I'm not saying that this is garbage, trash, there's no reason for it to exist. There's potential in it. I just think it needs to be, like, tightened up a little bit more. I want a version of this with a pretentious video essayist instead of a prank guy, like a video titled The Horrifying Mystery of the Man with My Face, and the video is 5 hours long. God, like H-Bomber style, or like, yeah, video essayist style videos of like, there's a reason why my videos take so long, the truth or whatever, and it's a fucking 6 hour long video essay going through loopholes and all sorts of explanations and shit to be like, yeah, by the way, there's a person with my face walking around, and they've been running my channel for the past 6 months. That's not me, guys. That's not me, or you know, just a full breakdown of a video. That'd be really funny. I'm tired of it being like the very stereotypical like family style vlogs or prank channels. I want a r/nosleep that uses a video essayist as its protagonist. Please and thank you. I'm giving that idea out to people because I can't write that to save my life. Take it, I don't care. You can just credit me. Anyway. This one I picked on the basis of it having this title. I know there's something in it. I think this is like a series, but I'm only gonna read the first one because I can't be asked to read the rest. Also because it's late and I am steadily but surely losing my voice. Which is why I'm drinking so much water. I'm gonna change the ambiance real quick, because we've looped this one like twice, I think. I'm going to do this one. I know it's gonna sound like... Actually, no. I need the ambiance. There we go. Okay, I think we should be fine. Perfecto. Alright. Alright. Cool. This one is called... my friends, found my dad's OnlyFans account and they're unhealthily obsessed with his boasts. I picked it only because I liked the title and I was like, this is the most absurd thing I have ever read. I need to know what goes on in it right now. So we're gonna read this one because I just really want to know what the hell this is about. I don't know anything about it, so let's see what this is about. It goes a little something like this. Nick, your dad's on OnlyFans. Tom, 25M, messaged on Discord. What a way to find out. Of course, I, 24 male, rolled my eyes at first. Yeah, Dad. Get it, Dad. It just seemed like one of my friend's infantile jokes. A playground insult that might have tickled me when we were younger. I wouldn't have taken my oldest friend seriously if it hadn't been for the link I received a moment later. Their dad, 54M, or male, posed in all his glory. Not in the nude, thankfully, but far from decent. My father's cover photo depicted him lying provocatively on a faux leopard skin rug, revealing his greasy, matted chest hair through a silk robe of matching black and orange design. It was not a pose that his employer would have found appropriate, and even with the knockoff Ray-Bans covering his eyes, I recognized him. That goofy smile, once so endearing, was edged to me. It felt as if the image were cutting my eyes. What the fuck? I messaged Tom. He replied, I knew Pete was struggling after your mum left, but fuck, mate, that's shit. Oh my god, wait, they're British? That changes everything. Wait a minute. I want to reread that sentence. Hang on. I knew Pete was struggling after your mum left, but fuck, mate, that's shit. I've always wanted to see Papa Pete's guts, my other friend, Simon, 24M, said. Shut up, I replied. What do I do? Do I confront him? You should sub, Simon messaged. Bog off, I said. He's kind of right, Nick, Tom said. You need to know what goes on there. What's on there? I'm so sorry. You guys are getting my shit Liverpudlian accent, sorry. No, I don't. I really fucking don't, I replied. Then we'll do it, Simon messaged. We? Tom asked. Yeah, Tom, I'll need your emotional support and a bottle of bleach after coming through all those photos and videos. We'll take it in turns. I'll look at a post, and then you look at a post, Simon suggested. P has thousands of nudes. His account dates back to 2020. Yep. It is time for my Liverpool accent. How about you look at the first photo, let us know the damage, then I'll subscribe if you want to share the burden, Tom asked Simon. Already seen it, my other friend replied. It was weird. What the fuck? You subscribed without telling me? I messaged, feeling betrayed. Sorry, Nick, Simon apologized. Curiosity got the best of me. But don't worry, I didn't see your dad's pick a hole. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, I replied. Please don't ever say those words again. I'll just go Scottish, good lord. Hang on, wait a minute. I gotta get it back. It's so hard to keep the Liverpool accent without morphing it into Scottish. Please don't ever say those words again. Don't send a photo, please, but describe it. It was worse than a nude, my friend said. Your dad was licking what looks like a wax arm, and he wore a badge attached to his lapel, labeled Mr. Morphophilia. I googled that word. This is an all over the place accent. I'm John Lennon. The way I get back into my fucking accent is I have to say I'm John Lennon and then I'm back. I'm John Lennon. I googled that word. Pete has a fetish for deformed people. Oh, that's not so bad, Tom messaged. I was expecting worse. No offense, Nick, but it was kind of a given that your dad was into freaky shit. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My accent's going everywhere. He's an OF creator. Peace page is insane, Simon said. His fans are unhinged, Nick. They're all commenting all sorts of degenerate things. I mean, fair play to him. He's got a devoted following, but he might want some security because these subscribers are a little too into him. They're giving me Sacco vibes. Want me to send some screenshots? I said nothing in response. I closed my laptop, curled into a ball under my duvet, and hoped I would wake hours later to find that the whole thing had been a bad dream. Or that my friends had fooled me, creating some convincing AI images of my father, perhaps. Still, I knew them, and even that level of Simon and Tom foolery, as I often called it, was beneath them. I woke up around 5 a.m., having only managed to get 3 hours of sleep, and when I opened my laptop, I saw that my friends had continued messaging each other, continued conducting their research. You having to say I'm John Lennon to recenter yourself is actually the funnest thing ever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fucking hate my life. Yes, I have to recenter by saying I'm John Lennon, otherwise I can't fucking get it back. I just fly off the handle. I fucking hate my life. God. I subscribed, Tom said. Shit, the next photo's worse. I know. Simon messaged. Oh, fuck. It's just gonna be Scottish. I'm sorry. You seen it? I thought we were going to take in turns. You know, look at alternating photos to save our sanity. Tom messaged. Yeah. Simon said. I get it. Tom messaged. I feel it too, Nick. I hate to say it, but this is legitimately beautiful. Simon, did you watch the video Pete posted a week ago? Next fucking level. I know, Simon said. I think I recognize that girl, Tom said. She was in my class at university. No spoilers, Simon said. Let's wait until Nick wakes up. No spoilers, Tom agreed. My god, I've not felt this way in a long time. Sladio. I don't know what the fuck that means, but okay. Yes, Simon replied. There was a gap of 1 hour without any exchanges of messages. I hoped that my friends would have changed the topic after the initial unsettling flurry of opinions on my father's OnlyFans content. Hoped that they would have said something to remind me that they were my friends, but they didn't, and they weren't. This wasn't some practical joke. I knew Tom and Simon well, and this wasn't them. Their conversation resumed around 4 a.m. It started with a short clip that Tom had attached, and I wish I hadn't played it. The video opened with a shaky shot of my friend's desk. I'm John Lennon. Wait, I gotta resend it myself. Oh, there we go. I got it. There we go. Hello, Nick, he said, gleefully giggling behind the camera. On Tom's monitor, I caught a glimpse of Dad's OF page for a moment. Peeked over the paywall and felt a pang of agony. The same sensation that I'd felt upon eyeing his cover photo, but twice as painful, even through a phone's camera, an image of an image. Given the change in my friends, I dread to think what gazing directly upon my father's posts would have done to my mind. I don't think I want to know, but it was clear that Tom and Simon had seen something which fundamentally altered their very souls. That flicker of the computer screen, fortunately too hazy to distinguish, seared more than my eyes. It seared my skin from top to toes, stopping just shy of consuming more than my physical form. I screamed, feeling some unbound force trying to untether my mind from my body. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I knew it was the same thing on a lesser scale that had happened to my friends. Perhaps Dad had brewed the perfect combination of pixels to hypnotize folk into parting with their money. Perhaps he had been consumed by something beyond earthly explanation. I still don't have an answer. I want you to understand, Nick. Oh, fuck, I'm doing it again. I'm John Lennon. There we go. I got it back again. There we go. I want you to understand, Nick, Tom continued, moving a kitchen knife on his desk into view. I want you to see that your dad has done a beautiful thing. I'm going to be part of that thing. I trembled as I realized what was about to happen. My almost made me doubt the validity of the footage. But his face was finally in frame, and it told me that this was real. There was no faking his ghastly smile. Oh no, I'm losing frames. Oh no. Oh no. Why am I losing frames? Why is everything going to shit? Uh-oh. Oh, of course. Come back to me, Chad. No. No. Oh my god, really? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh my god. Chat. Hello, are you guys there? Oh my god, dude. Stream frozen, isn't so over. I have some bad news, guys. Hang on. Chat. I don't know how long you guys have gone for, but, sad news. We have a 45-second oh my god, why is it doing that? Good lord. We have a 45-second delay. Sad face. I hate it. We have a 45-second delay. I don't know how much of it you guys missed. I hate when this is the second time now that the internet is cut out for a stream, and I don't know what is causing it. Is it the rain? Is it the shit weather? Is it somebody going into the bathroom? I don't fucking know. But this is a definite blow, and I hate it. No, it is not just you. It was me. But we have a 45-second delay, and we cannot. I don't want to end stream and do it again. Yeah. I'm so sorry. We have a 45-second delay. I'm gonna turn this off for a second because I gotta check something. I'm so sorry, folks. Hang on. This is not what I meant to do. This is not what I wanted to happen. No. Ugh. 'Tis but a sad day. We can chat, let's all chant I'm John Lennon in our heads and we can manifest a shorter delay time. That's so funny. I hate you all so much. I should have never said that. I should have never said that. Oh my gosh. What have I done? What have I done? I fucking hated it. It's just stuck in my head. And now all I've got to do is just this. God. Anyway, we're just gonna put this back on. I hate it here. Alright, I'm just gonna continue from where I left off. And, yeah. I'm not gonna end stream and restart it because we're so close to the end anyway, because I'm only gonna read like one or two more. Oh shit. I'm gonna read like one or two more, and then I'm gonna end stream because it's late and I'm tired. Oh, and talk about the albums and stuff. For Gore, I was gonna talk about the Beatles albums that I listened to recently. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this one up because this one's just oh my god, I have so many thoughts about this one. Anyway, where was I? There was no faking his ghastly smile, accompanied by tearful, jubilant eyes. Yeah, this is where I was when I noticed that I was losing frames. I was like, ruh-roh, Raggy. That wasn't my friend. With the awful squelch of innards and sharp cracking of bone, my friend's forearm came loose. Came free like pulled pork, just below the elbow joint. Tom released a triumphant roar as his blade met the blood-soaked wood below. Then he let his severance instrument splash into the growing pool. My friend was shivering, not with agony, but primal delight, as he lifted the dismembered limb with his remaining hand. Lifted the bloody appendage toward the camera. God, I can't read. This guy's dad has made a compelling argument. I'm going to steer this ship into the rocks. The video ended there. My face was painted with snot and tears, and I was struggling to breathe through sharp intakes and releases, through a throat hoarse from screaming. That was why, when I saw a Discord message from Simon had been removed, I felt relieved. I don't know what my other friends sent, but if it were anything like Tom's video, I wouldn't have wanted to see it. However, the final 3 messages brought my teeth together. Nick isn't ready for mine, Simon messaged. No, Tom replied. He isn't, but he felt it for a moment. Oh, fuck me, God. Stupid British accent. Felt what we felt. And he felt it for free, Simon. For free? What's the gift? Do you think Daddy wants him to see? Oh no, this fucking thing got me to say Daddy. I think Daddy wants all us to see, my other friend said. My garden's motion lighting suddenly sprang to life, and less than a moment later, a rock punctured my bedroom window, tore like a bullet into my room, leaving glass shards on my duvet and a lasting jolt of fear in my chest. Quivering, I shuffled along the bed, then peered around the edge of the window frame, something I immediately regretted. In the garden, stark naked, were Tom and Simon. Without clothes to hide behind, there was no fudging the facts. Under the bright white glare of the garden's lighting, no practical effects would have explained the dismemberment of my 2 friends. Tom stood, right arm absent, with his remaining hand gripping the left handle of the wheelbarrow below, and lying in that cart, with a bloody mound of mulch and brambles, was the still-moving body of Simon. A living, breathing body without arms and legs, a torso immobilized, but somehow more alive than ever. Even from the top window of my home, I saw the smile on Simon's face, a face coated in trails of blood from the eyes he had plucked from their sockets. Oh God, I gotta be British again. Here we go. Nick! Tom called from below. I see you! Simon yelled something incoherent, opening his mouth wide to reveal that he also lacked a tongue. Simon says it's time for you to see Daddy's page, Tom shouted before pushing the wheelbarrow toward the patio doors. I yelled at the sound of shattering glass. Then I hurriedly slipped into my joggers. I did not run toward the front door, as I knew I would only meet my 2 unhinged friends. I tore open the bedroom window, ignoring Tom's delirious cackles as he dashed through my house and reached toward the trellis on my rear wall, an exterior feature I was glad to have installed the summer before. I'm going to have to leave you for a moment, Tom said to Simon. I heard my other friend release a series of giddy, unintelligible murmurs, the hauntingly happy moans and groans of a man trying to speak without the means to do so. Stairs creaked rapidly, and I screamed as I hurled my body out of the window, fingers weaving through the crisscross structure. The wooden framework of the trellis bent and strained under my weight, working fiercely to cling to the wall. I descended at a great pace before my makeshift ladder decided to clock out, and halfway down, Tom's bare upper body burst through my bedroom window. He swung an arm and a severed stump in my direction, and if he hadn't dismembered himself, my once friend may well have seized me. But I made it to the safety of the paving slabs below, and then I fled. I still want to see Dad. I want to know what he did to the 3,789 people subscribed to his OnlyFans account. We've barely spoken in 2 years, so I don't pretend to know him anymore, but this still doesn't sound like the man I know. I don't understand why my own father would convince thousands of people to do such unthinkably odious things to themselves. I might never have known my dad at all. Maybe he's always been this way. Maybe something had changed him, much as it changed my friends. I don't understand any of it. I don't know who my father has become, and I won't be subscribing to his account to find out. And that was, my friends found my dad's OnlyFans account, and they're unhealthily obsessed with his posts. This was, interesting to say the least. I'm gonna be so honest, I was more entertained by the fact I was struggling through my Liverpudlian accent the whole fucking time, More so than I was entertained by this, because, like, this is kind of like typical horror schlock, I guess, but like with an internet twist to it. Like, oh, it's coming through in my dad's OnlyFans account, which I guess is a good way to say, like, oh, there's weird content being paywalled that you can only have exclusive access to if you give a certain amount of money so that you can see it. It's kind of like cult-like in a way, I guess, but I don't know, it just feels shallow, I guess. It's really it's really well written. Goodness, I'm struggling to talk today. It's really well written, and I do like how it's presented, but yeah, the gore part was pretty contrived. Oh, definitely. It feels very out there, definitely. The part where the friend sent the video of him sawing off his arm is a bit funny. It's like a bit from like a YouTuber's video almost. Feels like a really, really boring version of Saw almost. That last part in Saw or whatever. Pretty derivative stuff, but John Lennon made up for it. I am never gonna get that lived down. I legit do, though. I'm not kidding when I say I have to do that when to recenter myself to get my damn accent back, because sometimes it veers into Scottish and it's like, nope, that's not it. I'm never gonna get that lived down. I think that was karma. My internet dying when I was doing that. I think that was karma. Getting back at me. Anyway, I think I'll read one or two more and then I'm gonna dip. Let's see. This one is intriguing. I really liked the title of it. And it seems intriguing. It's a bit long. It's very long. Oh, Jesus Christ. But I'm intrigued. I want to know what this one's about. So this one is called, I Think the Lord Just Spoke to Me. I saw something about a grandma. Oh boy, if I start crying about this because, thinking about my grandma, oh boy, here we go. I don't know how this is gonna go, but here we go. It goes a little something like this. Recently, my grandmother, Beryl, died. Shed no tears. She was old and lived an amazing life. I was with her at the end. I sat by her bed, holding her frail hand and crying, silently crying. She had slipped into a coma, and the odds of her coming out of it were slim, and Slim had left 10 minutes ago. Right before she left for good, her eyes fluttered open. She looked at me and whispered my name. I looked up, stunned that I could see her fading baby blues, and called out for my mom. My grandma beckoned me to come closer. I leaned as close to her as I could get, and in a tired, raspy voice, she said, "I'm afraid I'll see him again." Intriguing title, I know. I asked who, but she shut her eyes and laid back down. Her internal clock slowed as her head hit the pillow. As soon as my mom came into the room, Grandma left us. I held my mom, and we cried into each other's shoulders until our shirts were soaked. Not my best day. When Mom and I went through Grandma's things, I told her what Grandma said to me right before she expired. I asked her if she had any idea what she was talking about. Mom was silent for a beat, then shook her head no. Who knows what was going on inside her head right before the end. I don't think it was anything specific. Is it related to her moving to Iowa all those years ago? This had been a sticking point between my family and I since I found out about it. My family had been born and raised in Minnesota for generations before Grandma had up and left one night years ago. She never talked about it. Once I learned this weird fact, I asked her. She would always dodge the answer, typically by promising me ice cream. What can I say? I'm bought off cheap. But with her gone, I thought this might be the time to learn the family secret. Why had Grandma left Minnesota? Why the big secret? Who was she worried she'd see again? I knew my mom wouldn't answer, if she even knew, but I held out hope my grandma had journaled about these experiences. My grandma was an avid journalist, but unlike most people, she didn't write her daily musing like they were a list of things she accomplished. No, she wrote them like she was telling a story. More than once, my mom caught me engrossed in a journal instead of cleaning the house. My mom punished me by assigning me to clothes donation duty. I was like, hi, welcome, doctor. We have a 45-second delay because my internet cut out, but hi, it's good to see you. She hardly missed a day, and there were boxes of journals in her closets. Her will said she wanted them given over to the University of Iowa. She thought maybe they'd learn something from her daily writings. What life was like for a quasi-radical middle American housewife during the country's golden age. We were finishing up moving these boxes around when I noticed a small gap in the timeline of the journals. The ones from around the time she'd fled Minnesota were missing. I informed Mom about it, and she gave me one of Grandma's patent non-answers. I wasn't satisfied with that response, worse, Mom didn't even promise ice cream. What a shame. Later that year, I went looking for the lost journals. I hoped I'd find answers to questions I asked for 20 years. I went through her entire bedroom with a fine-tooth comb and found zilch. Less than zilch. It was as if these things had just vanished. It was possible she burned it, but Grandma had hoarder tendencies, and I couldn't see her doing that. These dumb journals were gone. Excuse me. Out of frustration, I kicked the inside of her closet wall. My foot easily broke through the drywall. I started coughing from the particles in the air. My spasming lungs would not keep me from seeing the hole I just booted in the wall. As I got closer, I realized I hadn't kicked through drywall. It was foam made to look like drywall. Inside, I found the journals I had been looking for. I devoured them in one sitting. A lot of my questions found answers. That said, those answers just spawned more questions. Questions I knew no one in my circle, not even my mom, could answer. So I throw it out to you, Reddit. What the hell happened here? If anyone knows anything about the group my grandma's ex started, please let me know. GoFundMe for Chords Getting Better Internet win. Yeah, got it. Get me off of Zipply Fiber. Fuck these guys. They suck. I'm not even joking. May 2nd, 1961. Oh shit, 61! I'm not gonna say what I thought, but I'm pretty sure you all know what I'm thinking, probably. I think the Lord just spoke to me. Paul! Oh, fuck me, no! No! Oh, fuck. No. No, not Paul. Oh, god damn it. It's following me. I'm shaking my fist at the air. Paul, my loving husband of 10 years, told me this as soon as he entered our apartment. I looked up from my paperback and stared at him, waiting for the punchline, but it never came. He was being serious. I didn't realize how serious until I saw he had tears in his eyes. What? Was all I could think to say. I heard the word, he said, his voice catching. He spoke to me. Paul was not the most religious man. Sure, he went to church on Sundays, but neither of us would call ourselves devout. He'd always grouse about missing the first few innings of the Twins games. The Twins were his new obsession. They'd just moved from Washington, and Paul was worried that if the city didn't embrace them, they might leave for greener pastures. As for myself, I'd been feeling a serious spiritual disconnect from the church for years and was going out now out of obligation and not faith. Not that I would tell anyone that publicly. You couldn't go around talking about how you didn't believe in God in Minneapolis in the year of our Lord 1961. That's a good way of losing your invite to Bunko night. I read the news today. Oh boy. I read the news today. Oh boy. Oh no. Hi, I'm Paul. Anyway. Start from the beginning, I said, still confused. I was closing up the shop, he said, and I'd gone into the basement to make sure the sidewalk cellar door was closed, or locked. God, I can't read. And I heard someone say, I am the truth, as clear as day. Maybe someone was on the street. You can hear people through the cellar door, I said. I thought so too, but there wasn't anyone out there. Why do you think it was Jesus? Who else would call themselves the truth? Why would he tell you? I don't know, but I know I heard it. What do you want to do? I asked, unsure of how to handle this. My mother told me all kinds of tips and hints about having a happy marriage. Be loyal, make him comfortable, be his biggest supporter, learn how to make his favorite cocktail, etc. But there had never been any discussions on what to do if your husband hears utterings from the divine. Send him to get therapy. I don't know, he said. He touched my soul barrel. I need a drink, I think. That I can do, I said, putting down my book and heading to the bar. He sat on the couch, but he was a million miles away. Something had happened, but I didn't think Jesus made house calls. I gave him a heavy pour, hoping it'd relax him. When Paul latches onto something, it can consume him to the point where he forgets to do basic things like eat and sleep. Jesus Christ spoke to me tonight, he said out loud, but mostly to himself. I am the truth. What do you think that means? Maybe you could talk to Father Jones, I said as I handed him his drink. If anyone has potentially heard the Lord speak, my money is on him. Paul thanked me for the booze and gulped most of it down in one swig. I could tell he was inside his own head, and any attempt at conversation would be met with silence or anger. I grabbed my book and mentioned taking a quick bath before bed. I left him contemplating his spiritual awakening. I was at a good part of my book anyway. Damn, Farrell, alright. May 9th, 1961. I thought the Jesus stuff would pass, but he still focused on it a week later. He hadn't had another conversation with the Lord, but he did speak to Father Jones. The old priest listened to Paul's whole story patiently and offered him some pretty milquetoast answers. We all hear the word. Make sure you heed it. Following in Jesus' footsteps is not bad advice to follow. Paul left unfulfilled. The following day, he went to the library and checked out 6 books on Christianity and prophecy. He focused on others who'd heard from Jesus or God. I popped into the pharmacy before leaving to run errands. I was surprised to find Paul hunched over an open book, furiously scribbling notes onto a pad. I couldn't help but chuckle. Paul pulled his head out of the book and met my eyes. What are you reading? Book on prophets, he said. A lot of them heard an audible voice, too. Are there any outside witnesses that can corroborate that claim? I asked. And my old university studies came back to me. I believe them. I wouldn't have a week ago, but... He trailed off. What happened to these prophets? Some went to start their own church. Some became disillusioned with humans and fled to nature. Some went crazy and killed themselves or others. It's a mixed bag. Well, thank God you were just a one-off. The thought of living in nature after we spent our savings getting this apartment and storefront makes me queasy. Oh, and not to be part of a murder-suicide thing is nice, too. Beryl, please. I was going to respond, but he dove back into his book. I rolled my eyes and left. I didn't mind when Paul got obsessed with things. It's part of his charm. But I wasn't a fan of his current obsession. Somewhat ironically, I prayed he'd end it soon and come back to his senses. Anyway, May 17th, 1961. Sorry, I got distracted by chat. 2 days later, Paul had to go to a conference 2 towns over. He didn't want to go. He said he felt bad putting me out. I said it was nonsense. Plus, we'd already paid for a hotel room. He reluctantly left, and I watched over the store. I had worked in the pharmacy before and knew what I was doing, but there was a pall over the place this time. Right, okay, I could say. People weren't unkind, but weren't friendly either. It felt like being at a funeral. Later, when I retired to my apartment, I heard something moving in the shop. I pressed my ear to the ground to hear better. Sure enough, it sounded like someone was rifling through things. I didn't panic. I simply called the police, grabbed the scariest-looking knife I had, double-checked my locks, and waited for them to arrive. They checked the store and said a few boxes had fallen, but everything else seemed to be in order. I went down with them and confirmed. They asked about my husband, and I told them where he had gone. They said they'd return tomorrow to talk to him about it before leaving. I watched them drive off when something outside caught my eye. It was the cellar doors to the storage area. One of them had been pushed open. The police would have seen that during their inspection, so I assumed they had popped them up to check the alley and just left it open. God, I can't read. I'm so sorry. I went into the storage room and saw the lights from the street lamps reflecting on the cellar stairs. I hustled across the room and quickly shut and locked the doors. As I turned to go back up, I felt something caress my foot. I jumped up, but didn't see anything. I heard a box fall to the ground next to me. I snapped my head in that direction in time to see the tail end of a giant rat scurrying into the darkness. I started laughing. I'd been so keyed up that another person had been in there, and I'd never even assumed it was a rat. Or it'd be a rat. The following day, Paul arrived and told me he found a dead rat outside the cellar door. He threw it in the trash and hoped no one had seen it. He told me its head was missing. May 23rd, 1961. He spoke to me again, Paul said. He told me, go forth and herd them. Go forth and herd? I asked. Doesn't that make you the shepherd? No, he said, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Jesus is the shepherd. I'm more like the staff he wields. I keep the herd in line. Uh-huh, I said, not wanting to show my complete disapproval, but to let him know I had some reservations about the whole thing. Maybe you should start going to church twice a week? Or see if you can volunteer? They're always looking for helpers for bingo and the Friday fish fry. I don't know, Paul said. Doesn't seem grand enough for someone hearing the Savior's voice. Are you sure that's what it is? Not a radio or something? It's the word of the Lord, Beryl, he said sharply. I know the difference between Paul Harvey and Jesus. Okay, no need to get upset. Just looking for solutions. You do believe me, right? I let the question bounce around my skull before I blurted out a yes from me. I blurted anything out. God, I read ahead, sorry. A yes from me would be a sign of encouragement. A no would crush his spirits. I needed an old-fashioned Minnesota nice answer that walks the line between both. I'm just making sure you're not rushing into anything is all. He laughed. If there was anything to rush towards, it would be the open arms of Jesus. I needed to shift gears. This was fertile ground for a fight, and I wasn't in the mood. Hey, I was talking with Martha the other day, and she wanted to know if we wanted to go to a Twins game this weekend. I don't have time for games, he said. I want to finish this book about numerology in the Bible. Did you know the number 4 appears frequently in the book of Revelations? I need a drink. You? No, I need to stay sharp, he said. The word won't come to a man drunk on earthly pleasures. Uh-huh. I grabbed the bottle of rum. I contemplated just taking a long pull from the bottle, but I'm a lady, so I made myself a mixed drink and retired to the bedroom to get some quiet. June 3rd, 1961. 2 voices were coming up from the shop. There shouldn't have been 2 voices coming from the shop, especially after closing. I walked down to the pharmacy and found Paul deep in conversation with a bookish-looking fellow who seemed familiar. They both shut up as soon as I hit the bottom step. This is Chuck. Hi, Chuck said. Are you a rep from one of the medical companies? I asked, confused. Nope, I actually buy my aspirin here. He's helping me with the biblical messages. I love mysteries, Chuck added. I told you about it the other night, about the messages in the book of Revelations. The number 4 thing? He laughed. Chuck laughed. I was confused. We've gone way beyond that, he said. We're discovering new stuff in here that corresponds with the recent messages. What messages? Paul hesitated. I doubled down and asked again. He smiled and asked if he could speak to me in the next aisle. What messages? I asked a third time. The Lord. He's speaking to me pretty frequently. What? I asked, laughing out of shock. It's daily. I wasn't supposed to tell you. Says who? Chuck? Paul waited for a beat and then pointed up at the sky. I decided to play dumb. The roofer? He said you'd mock me. I'm not mocking you, I said. I'm confused, and quite frankly, when have I ever mocked you? Did you believe me? That's a different thing altogether. Did you know that, historically, the first supporter of a prophet is their spouse? But when a spouse doesn't believe, it causes issue with the marriage, or within the marriage. Wait, I said, my anger rising. A prophet? Who else hears the word of the Lord but a prophet? You own and operate a local pharmacy, Paul. How does that make you a prophet? God selected me, and I heard. Simple as that. Not to mention, Jesus has recently shown me many things. You having visions now? Oh, you're having visions now? I asked incredulously. Not yet. but they've told me what passages in the Bible really mean. It's been an eye-opening experience. What has it said? It's a lot to go over. When the time is right to tell you, I will. What have you told Chuck? Also, what the hell is Chuck doing here? Beryl, language. Don't blaspheme. Saying hell isn't committing blasphemy, or did the voice not go over the proper grammar with you? I knew I had stepped over the line, but I didn't care. I was heated, and this obsession was getting out of hand. I mean, there was a convert in my house now. He said you'd act like this, Paul said. The doubts of the unbelievers can cloud my mind. What did the last voice say? You're just going to insult me, he said. Which you shouldn't do in general, but especially not in front of Chuck. Fine, I said. I promise I won't insult you. Paul sighed. He told me my first sheep would find its way to me. The next day, Chuck saw what I was reading and started asking questions. Before we knew it, he agreed to help me work on this with me. Agreed to help work on this with me. I can't read, I'm so sorry. Uh-huh. You said you wouldn't insult me. I haven't, I said, biting my tongue so hard I drew blood. I could taste the metallic tang in my mouth. Go on. Paul smiled. I think he's my first sheep. Where do you hear the voices? In the basement, near the cellar door. I'm going down there, I said, to see if I hear anything. You won't, he said. I'm still trying. I walked out of the aisle, shot Chuck a warm smile, and headed down to the basement stairs to storage. As I made my way down, I heard Paul tell Chuck that I was having some womanly issues and should be fine. Oh, not the womanly issues thing. I promised myself I would give the Prophet Paul a good punch in the arm later. The Prophet Paul, that's a illiterate name if I ever heard one. I walked down into the basement storage area and flipped on the light. I hated coming down here at the best of times, but it was the worst at night. It was already so dark in this room, and the lack of sunlight streaming through the cracks in the cellar door made it 10 times worse. But I was bound in the armor of a doubting Thomas, so I pushed my fears aside and made my way over to where Paul hears his divine messages. I stood for 10 minutes, not making a sound. No voice spoke to me. No God, Jesus, or Jack Benny. All remained as quiet as a prayer. I rolled my eyes and headed back upstairs to the apartment. I wanted to get a head start on giving Paul the cold shoulder. Good God, this woman... Love her to bits and pieces. She should have divorced his ass. Been like, I don't like the behavior you've been exhibiting recently. I think it's time we get a divorce. But then again, it's 1961. So misogyny was extremely rampant. Yeah, womanly issues, yeah, okay, yeah, really. The horror of your husband suddenly becoming super religious, yeah, that's horrifying in itself, actually. June 10th, 1961. A week later, besides a Chuck, there was now a Greg, a Dan, a Dawn, a Joy, and a Tom. Most of these people were customers, but Joy and Tom were Chuck's friends. He told them what he and Paul had been doing, and they were intrigued, so they started coming too. They wouldn't be the last. More and more strangers moved through my life. The after-work gatherings became an everyday thing, and their tenor changed. When only Chuck was hanging around, he and Paul seemed to discuss biblical prophecy and the voices Paul heard. But now that a congregation was in the basement, the meetings took on a different tenor. Paul spoke like he was preaching to them, and the group ate it up. Oh my God, he's starting a cult. They looked at him like he had answers to their problems. He called them Paulites. Oh my God. You know, this whole time, too, whilst, like, the husband's name obviously is Paul, right? I've just been seeing Paul McCartney this whole fucking time in my head. Circa, like, 1967, 68, when they were doing Sgt. Pepper's, so it's just him with his little mustache just standing in front of a congregation. With his thick Liverpudlian accent talking about Jesus. That's just what I've seen this whole fucking time. I can't get it out of my head. And they responded well to it. I can't believe they responded well to being called Paulites. That is the shittiest name for your followers. Good lord. It's on par with like YouTubers calling themselves like first name or last name whatever's, you know, like part of the whatever gang. Oh my god. I couldn't get this man to put his dishes in the sink, yet these people thought he knew the answers to cosmic mysteries. I was floored. Paul never told me about the new messages. I asked once, and he said the voices told him to spare the message from non-believers. I asked him when I had been shifted to non-believer status, and he didn't elaborate. I tried a few times to coax a message from the voice in the basement, but rolled a snake eyes every time. Paul had been more distant in the last week. At first, I was okay with it because he seemed to enjoy himself, but the meeting started running to midnight and I got lonely. I tried to go down there once or twice, but he always told me to head up. I'd be bored. I said I was curious, but he turned me away. I'm picturing long hair, beard era Paul. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when he was sequestered up in his farm. Oh, definitely. He turned me away. I talked to Mom about it, and she said it's odd, but most men need a hobby to share with friends. She reminded me that Daddy was a member of the lodge and would hang out with those guys a few nights a week. Oh my god. He was a Freemason? Oh my god. Or wait, no, I'm thinking, wait. When I hear lodge, I just think of Freemasons. No, it's probably like hunting lodge. What Paul was doing seemed similar, if not more church-related. She said it was good that you knew where and who he was with. I couldn't disagree, but it still sat funny with me. That seed of a funny feeling soon bloomed into a flowering issue when I heard Paul and Chuck discussing how many cots they could fit in the storeroom. Oh boy. I didn't want to interrupt them while they were talking, but I did sit on the stairs and listen. Paul said it would be better for the disciples to stay here. Paul said he could easily build 2 or 3 rooms with the space down here if Paul was willing to shuffle around the boxes. Paul said that wouldn't be an issue. He also told Chuck he wanted to build a shrine to the voice, a holy site he called it. Chuck said that wouldn't be an issue. After the group had left, I confronted Paul. I asked him what was going on and why he was going to build bedrooms downstairs. He said I wasn't allowed to know as I was not a member of the Immaculate Voice of the Lord. I said as the leaseholder of the pharmacy, I had every right to know, which is totally fair. I'd contacted the city about code violations if he didn't tell me. Paul relented. He told me he'd discovered hidden messages in the Book of Revelations thanks to the Lord's clues. He told people he found that some truly believed him. Oh, as he told people, rather. The group started as Bible study, but quickly became one that felt the need to splinter away from any known doctrines and strike out on their own. So a cult. The more formal churches were just parroting back words and beliefs from ancient voices. His church was getting the words straight from the horse's mouth. I didn't judge, but I did ask why he felt he couldn't share this with his wife. Had I not initially encouraged his passion project? Why was he keeping these secrets from me? He hemmed and hawed, but after some more precision-targeted questions, he finally spilled the beans. The voice told him not to tell me. I asked why Jesus would tell Paul to spread the word about his religion, but not tell his wife. He said the voice told him I would do anything to stop the church from forming. The day of cleansing would never come if I was successful. Day of cleansing? I asked. It's the day when the truth is revealed to the world. The non-believers will... Well, that's not important. No, you need to say. He sighed. They die and are sent to hell. You want me to go to hell? No. I want you to come along with me, but I'm being blocked from including you. The voice says that you don't have enough faith. You ask too many questions. Paul, darling, are you sure there even is a voice? He started laughing. The Lord said you'd say that. That's why I can't preach to you. Your doubt encapsulates you like unholy armor. There is no way to penetrate it. I think I'm going to stay at my mom's house, I said, slowly backing away from him. I need some time to think. Please don't, he said, his voice changing. I can teach you my ways and school you in the education of the Immaculate Voice Doctrine. It'll bring us closer. both in this life and the next. His eyes were pleading, and I again saw the face of the boy I had fallen for all those years ago. My body wanted to embrace him, but my brain held firm. I'll stay tonight, okay? But no promises about tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll take us into your heart, he said, smiling. I love you. Let's get some sleep, huh? June 11th, 1961. This is going on for so long, but I think we're almost done. God bless. Literally. I reached over in the middle of the night and felt an empty space next to me. Paul was gone. I looked around, but he wasn't in the apartment. I assumed he was downstairs, either in the pharmacy or the storeroom. I prayed it was the pharmacy, but I knew where I'd find him. I moved as silently as a ghost until I got to the shop floor. It was pitch black outside, save for the lamp posts that lined the street. They gave the avenue an orange glow that most people never see because most decent people are asleep at this hour. I walked toward the door to the storeroom and found it already open. A light was on down there, and I heard mumbling that couldn't make out any words. I softly took the first few steps, making sure I didn't give away my position. Paul's voice was still muffled, but I could hear every word. It seemed he was talking to someone, but I never heard another voice speak back. Then I realized he was probably talking to the voice. I made my way down the stairs and ducked behind some of the boxes of medicine. If he really looked, he'd spot me easily, but overlook me if he just glanced. I settled in and cocked my ear toward him. What I heard from him made the blood drain from my face and my body shake. If she leaves, who will we use to secure your arrival? Without her body, you cannot rise. There was silence for a few seconds until Paul started laughing. It wasn't the fun, friendly chuckle I had swooned over during study sessions in poli-sci. It was maniacal. Thy will be done, Father. With that, Paul shut off the light and walked back upstairs. Sitting alone in the dark, I realized two things. My marriage was obviously over, and the Paulites were going to kill me. I needed to go. Now. The quickest way out was through the cellar doors. I'd figure out the details later, but fleeing this nightmare was paramount. As quietly as possible, I undid the latches and pushed open the metal doors, stepping up the ladder to softly lay them on the sidewalk. Before leaving, though, I looked back at the room and spat. Till death do us part? No thanks. You can have him. The air around me becomes charged. It made my skin tingle. From the dark void of the room, I heard a deep voice croak. Your end is here, child. Fuchsius locutus est? Oh my god, it's Latin. I can't read Latin because I'm dumb. Fuchsius locutus, good. What the hell was that? Something exploded. Est. I took Latin in college and had attended church since I could walk. This wasn't Jesus or God or anything. Holy speaking to Paul. He was being deceived. Jesus doesn't call himself the Dark One. Oh my god, a little on the nose. But I knew who did. As my brain tried to reconcile this information, a bloody, severed rat head landed square on my foot. I charged up those stairs and onto the street. I ran as far as my lungs would take me. All I heard were my bare feet slapping on the sidewalk and deep, evil laughter echoing from the basement. I never looked back. There was nothing I wanted to see anyway. Okay, and this one was, I think the Lord just spoke to me. I think it was pretty good. I really liked that, honestly. It did drag on in some portions, I will say, and a lot of it was a little on the nose. Especially it was like, oh yeah, by the way, it's Satan, because he's calling himself the Dark One. But, yeah. I really liked it. I will say. I liked that a lot of the story was laid out in journal format. It's a different approach I haven't seen in a lot of these r/no sleeps. Yeah. I was locked in until the end. It felt a bit anticlimactic. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I will say the ending did kind of take the wind out of the sails a little bit in terms of the storytelling, but other than that, it was pretty good. I will say though, the one person in chat that went on board, it's like, okay, cool, I don't care, buddy. You don't have to vocalize it in chat if you're bored. You can just like, that's something you keep to yourself, because there's other people in chat that are enjoying the reading. You know, you don't have to like, I don't know, rub it in. Just keep that to yourself. Anyway, that was fun. Reading you guys some r/no sleeps for the scary season. Woo! I love reading scary stories. It's reminding me of the old early days of the channel when we would read scary stories, go over older creepypastas, or review horror series and such. I haven't done that in such a long time. It's probably because that's something that doesn't necessarily appeal to me much anymore, because I'm so interested in doing a whole bunch of other stuff. I still like horror stuff, and I like to delve into horror stuff here and there. I don't know, it's just like, but this was nice. This was nice. This was a nice little thing to get into. Build up was really good, yeah. If you are bored, simply go to a different stream. No one is holding you hostage, lol. Exactly. If you are bored, just go somewhere else. Anyway, I promised you guys I would talk about some of the albums that I have been listening to on my drive to work. So let's pop those bad boys out and talk about them real quick before I leave. And everything is falling apart. Oh my god. I'm knocking shit over. No. Of course, my dad's John Lennon album fell over. It didn't break though, but that's really funny. Very convenient as I'm trying to grab stuff out. Okay, well, let's see. This one. Is this all that I listened to this week? Yeah, because I did a rerun of I listened to Magical Mystery Tour on one of my drives to work again, because it's a comfort album right at this point. So I was gonna listen to Abbey Road, but I was like, I'm having a bad time. I'm just gonna put on Magical Mystery Tour and coast on my way to work. So I did a redo of that one because it's good. Storytime streams would be cool. This was great fun. Yeah. I might see if I can intersperse them here and there. Although I'm pretty sure I'm running out of older stories to intersperse in with the new ones. So, alright. Let's see. Let me talk about them in the order that I listened to them. I hate the 45-second delay. Goddamn, this sucks. But, it's not much I can do about it. Okay, so first up, on early in the week, I listened to, because I bought it at Barnes & Noble, and it's my one that I didn't buy secondhand, the only one I haven't bought secondhand. I have a Hard Day's Night that I listened to, and this is probably the only Beatles album that I know almost all the songs on before having even listened to the album all the way through, because I've listened to so many fucking songs from A Hard Day's Night. They're just ingrained in my brain, and this is like, I love this album so much. There's so many good freaking banger songs on here, dude. Oh my god. Of course, you got the classic of like A Hard Day's Night. That's always gonna be a classic. And then you have, oh my god, I can't listen to I Should Have Known Better. It's a good song for the most part, but I Should Have Known Better, I think of the blooper where John is struggling to sing the song after having done a harmonica opening to it. where you're just like, I can't breathe after that mouth organ bit. Can we skip the mouth organ bit? Feels like I'm singing in a sock. That's all I think about with this fucking song, and I can't take it seriously, but I fucking love it nonetheless. If I Fell, of course, banger. I love If I Fell. It was the first Beatles song I ever listened to when I first started this freaking hyperfixation. Very, very funny. I love it so much. I hold it like a very special place in my heart. I know not a lot of people enjoy If I Fell, but I personally deeply enjoy it because I hold it so close to my heart as probably the first Beatles song I listened to. I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, also a banger. It's one of, like, okay, hold on. George has done solo songs before this album with a couple songs on With the Beatles. But, me rearranging my albums, pardon that. I'm Happy Just to Dance With You. It's so cute. I love hearing early George's voice, because it sounds so significantly different than when, like, his later stuff with, like, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, or, like, Within You, Without You, and stuff. It's just such a cute little contrast. Although this song, it was written for him, I'm pretty sure, but it also makes me very sad, because he's like, I don't want to kiss or hold you, I just want to dance. And I'm like, buddy, I don't think that's what he wanted to do. Never heard another song where you can't recognize it just from one chord, like A Hard Day's Night? Exactly. And I Love Her. Paul McCartney at his best, of course. This fucking song is so good. I Love You. This song, I Love You, and I Love Her. To me, in terms of pairings from this, kind of like with Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields Forever, If I Fell and I Love Her are like the pair for this album, in my opinion. They like bounce off of each other fairly well. Can't Buy Me Love. So many of these songs I heard from the Beatles cartoon, so like I already recognized Can't Buy Me Love from the Beatles cartoon. I quite like it a lot. It's good. I'm just gonna be saying that for most of these songs, sorry. Can't Buy Me Love was the first song I ever taught myself how to play on any instrument, even ever when I was like 6. That's totally cool. That's fair. Anytime at All, My Beloved. Anytime at all. Anytime at all. Anytime at all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. God, I love that song. It's so good. I'll Cry Instead is also good. Can't remember too many of the lyrics from it, but I do remember the beat, and it gets stuck in my head. Things We Said Today. I accidentally got obsessed with that song. I love it too much. It's very good. Things We Said Today. The guitar in that one is so fucking good. Holy shit. Someday when we're dreaming, deep in love, not a lot to say. I fucking love that song. Oh my god. Every single time I end up listening to these albums, I end up finding a new favorite Beatles song. It's so funny. I love it. And also, it's kind of very funny. When I Get Home, I think... that one's hard to remember. I think I liked it. I think that's just the song that's like, I'm gonna get home to you and give you a smooch or something. The song. Also very interesting that it says there's 14 tracks when I put this album all the way through. Hard Day's Night, If I Fell, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, I Love Her, and I Love Her. Oh, I totally skipped Tell Me Why. Oops. Forgettable song moment. I like a few others, but yeah, this was a banger album. Banger banger early Beatles album. God, I can't talk. I Love You, Hard Day's Night, Forever and Ever. I love Course album reviews. I'm like a mini Fantano, except like I'm not popular. Oh no, the internet dipped again. No, not again. Come on, dude. Why? Why, man? Come on. OBS, I hate you. It's yelling at me to get off of the stream. That's what it's doing. Why? We're almost at a minute. Oh my god, dude. The internet is yelling at me. It's so over indeed. 1 minute-ish delay. I'm so upset. I hate it here. I hate it here. What the hell? I just wanna talk about albums, but it's Hard Day's Night is the best one in their boy band era, in my opinion. Definitely so, because like there's tidbits from like other albums that I like, but in terms of a full album I could listen to endlessly in terms of like their early Beatles Mania era, I would say it's Hard Day's Night I could listen to. I am so sad. We're gonna try to wrap this up as quick as I possibly can because the karma's hitting me like full force. Next thing you know, it's gonna be 2 minutes. And it's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Can't do that. Nope. I'm gonna be quick, though. Alright, then, after A Hard Day's Night, I did listen to Help, which I think in terms of, albums that I was looking forward to, this one is the most disappointing to me. Help is kind of like, it's a special album to me only specifically for like the cover art, because this was the first thing of the Beatles I ever really encountered in the real world. I've told this before, but when I was first getting into the Beatles, it was like, I call it the Garfield effect because of Super Eye Patch Wolf's video about seeing it everywhere once you notice something about like something you're getting into, you just notice it like everywhere, and that happened with the Beatles. But I saw specifically that poster for Help, the movie, in an abandoned theater when I was out with friends on a birthday party. So I kind of hold it very near and dear because of that. In terms of album, though, I'm disappointed, frankly. There's only a couple of songs on here that I actually genuinely like, but there's not a lot of substance here, which makes me very sad. It was such a drop-off from freaking A Hard Day's Night, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. I still love it, but like, oh no. Oh no. Of course, okay, so Help, title track, iconic. I love it very much. It's a good song, but also very sad because it's clear that John's like, dude, this is a cry for help, but it's all cheery. Love a cheery song that has deep, upsetting lyrics in it. There are multiple instances of this in the Beatles' discography, and it's very funny. The title track for Help kind of rips, and Yesterday is iconic, but it's largely a forgettable album. Yeah. I'm so sad. The Night Before? I can't remember this one. This is gonna be probably the same for most of these songs. You've Gotta Hide Your Love Away. Don't remember that one either. I Need You? I love I Need You, actually. This one's a George song, and I love George's songs most, if not all, the time. He's never missed for me. Except for Piggies. I think Piggies is George. Piggies off of the White Album. I don't like that one. That's the only miss that George has ever had, but otherwise, he's hit with a lot of his songs. And I Need You is one of them, and I love it very much. Another Girl? The only reason I remember this one is because I woke up with it stuck in my head for no fucking reason, and I can't tell you why. It's not even that, like, good. It's not even that good in terms of songs, but, like, it's also weirdly malicious. I can't explain how ominous Another Girl feels. To me, as I listen to it, I'm like, Paul, you want to say something, buddy? It's also even funnier because, like, I thought this was a cover. It's not. It's an original. So I'm like, okay, which one of you two wrote this one? Was it a joint collaboration or was it one of you two? Because something's going on here and I want to get to the bottom of it. You're gonna lose that girl? It was okay. I thought it was alright. I remember it vaguely. Ticket to Ride. Look, Ticket to Ride and, like, We Can Work It Out are, combo tracks for me for that one, but, We Can Work It Out is not on this, sadly. It would have probably put this album up a little bit higher in terms of ranking for me, but, it's not. Ticket to Ride is just on here, and I love Ticket to Ride. It's pretty good. Although, I don't know why they put it on, like, the best of compilation CD track, because it's not that good, but you know what? That's just, I guess, an opinion of mine. Act Naturally, My Beloved. This is a cover song, but, like, Ringo doing it? Beloved. He killed it. Love it so much. He did a good job with it, with the cover. I think he crushed it. Love that for him. Oh, It's Only Love, My Beloved. I listen to this song a little more than I, like, reasonably should. It's not even that good, but I like, there's something about it that I've attached myself to it for some reason. It's only love and that is all, but it's so hard loving you. Oh my god, I love that song. I don't know why. You Like Me Too Much? I have a weird vibe from this one too. It's kind of like a song about a girl who wants to leave, but he's like, this is another George song. It's good, but it's also like, what's going on here? I know what's going on here. I know why a lot of these songs are the way they are. I'm just joking around, but it's like, he's kind of like gloating about it. It's like, oh, well, you like me too much to leave me. And it's like, I'm uncomfortable with that one. Okay. So I just kind of sit uncomfortably with that song as it's playing. And I'm just like, oh, no. Tell Me What You See. I don't remember at all. I think it, like, got glimpses of it in my brain, but, like, nothing is there when I think of it. I've Just Seen a Face, My Beloved. Also very good, back to back with, like, Yesterday. This is the combo for this album, but it's just Paul against Paul, because it's I've Just Seen a Face and then Yesterday, and they're both Paul. But I've Just Seen a Face. Very good. Love it. Yesterday, the absolute, like, most memorable song from this album, probably, by and large. And then Dizzy Miss Lizzy is just like, whatever. But, yeah, I'm disappointed. I love Help, but it is largely forgettable. Also, the quality of print on this fucking album for the cover is so shit. It's so bled through. It looks like somebody printed this on the shittiest printer known to man and then stuck it on the cover. Anyway, last one I'll talk about, and then I will have to leave you all, unfortunately, is With the Beatles, which is the second album that they ever did, which I don't know how I got it, but miraculously I'm in possession of it. This is the luckiest thing I have ever gotten. If I get Please Please Me, I think I'm in the clear. Like, in terms of, like, just finding it in the wild, I never figured I would. Also, I forgot to mention, when I went to the bookstore to get my CDs, there was a fucking vinyl for Beatles for sale. I don't have a record player, but I was so fucking tempted to buy it because I was like, Beatles for sale! That's rare to find, too. But I was like, oh, fuck, I can't buy it. So, alas, I will have to find Beatles for sale another day. But, you know, it was such a lucky find to find with the Beatles. I love the cover for this one, too, because it's reminiscent of, Astrid Kircher, who is a friend of theirs, when she would do photos for them when they were in Hamburg. The cover is like reminiscent of it, and I love it for that specific reason. Also, it's just really funny that Ringo's just in the fucking corner. Why'd they put him in the corner? He's not even that short. Who put Ringo in the corner? Get him out of there. He doesn't belong in the corner. Get him out right this second. But yeah, so in terms of with the Beatles, also largely forgettable, but like I admire the tenacity and I understand where the Beatlemania girlies were coming from with this one, in terms of like liking it so much to the point where Beatlemania like exploded, or Beatlesmania. I keep saying Beatlemania. I'm pretty sure it's Beatlesmania. Where it exploded onto the scene, because I'm pretty sure this album and Please Please Me were the reason that they got launched into infamy. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what they got on here. I know there's a lot of covers, so, well, most of these tracks are just very forgettable, except for Money, which is the only song that I knew on here before going into it because of Leah's playlist that she made me, which is a banger. I did not know it was a cover, though, but Money is a banger song. It's very, very good. I like it a lot. So, but, won't be long. Don't remember a thing about it. All I've got to do, also don't remember anything about it. All My Lovin', kind of remember a little bit about it, but not too much to leave an impact on me. Don't Bother Me is also the only, like, I think there's 2 George songs on here, or is there just one? There was 2 on Help, that's why I'm like, how many does she have on here? It's just the one. I remember bits and pieces of this one, because I was like, oh, me too. Don't Bother Me. But I don't remember much of it either. Little Child, I remember from the Beatles cartoon because I thought the lyrics were a little funky, but I have to remember the terminology was different in the 60s. So when they say little child, I don't think they mean an actual child. I think they mean like a girl. But it's still, I was just like a little confused the whole time listening to it. But it is a good song though. It's an earworm of a song, I will say. Oh my god, and then we're getting into the covers. Till There Was You, I have gotten stuck in my head, and I legitimately have been listening to it on loop for the past day or two. It is so... It is just Paul at his best. He is... The ballads and shit, he's got on lockdown. He's so good at those ballads, and just... He's not trying to be rough or anything. He's just got this beautiful singing voice. Oh, I love it so much. I did not even realize it was a song from a musical, and I don't think they did either. But also my favorite thing about this cover of Till There Was You is the fact that you can very much hear the Liverpudlian jump out when he's singing the song. Because instead of saying saw in the song, like I saw something fly overhead, he says SAR. This album probably ranks dead last in my Beatles album rankings, to be honest. That's fair. But also, oh my god. No, I never saw it at all. It jumped out to me immediately when I was listening to it. I was just like, oh my god. The Liverpudlians jumping out at him. Because also, I thought, okay, I listened to the actually original version of Till There Was You, and the one version that that Paul listed as the version that he heard, that he was introduced to, that didn't link back to The Music Man, the musical, where it came from. And because I thought that he got it from either of those versions, and neither of those versions say SAR, they say SAW. So it was 100% just the accent dropping out when he said SAW. It was very funny to me and very endearing, which is why I'm pointing it out, because I love it a little too much. Please, Mr. Postman, I only know because of that vine of that kid singing it and then like panning to the actual postman who just sings the most beautiful note ever. I did not know that this was a legitimate song that they did a cover of. It's pretty good. I like it a fair bit. Probably not enough to loop it though, because it just doesn't mean a whole bunch to me. But I liked it fairly. Roll Over Beethoven was a banger. I need to listen to it again though, because I got distracted because I was driving. Well, I'm driving while I'm listening to this, so I'm trying to focus on the road. And of course, I hear Blue Suede Shoes, and my brain's like, oh, they're doing a cover of an Elvis song. And then I was like, wait a minute. When a whole bunch of different lyrics came up, and I was like, oh wait, this is not Blue Suede Shoes. Oops. But it was pretty good. Hold Me Tight? Trying to remember. Nope, I can't remember it. Ugh. They did a cover of a Smokey Robinson song. You Really Got a Hold on Me. This is the only song where John and George are doing a duet, like, ever in terms of Beatles discography, and it works so well, and I hate that they never did a fucking duet ever again. I'm so sad. They should have did more because they're so good at harmonizing, and this song is like a testament to it. Oh my god. It's so good, and I'm so sad they never did a fucking duet ever again. Ugh. Probably because John had his fucking eyes set on Paul the whole time and was just, like, blocking everybody else out. He's like, no. No, I must do my duets with Paul only. Never I will do it again with anybody else. Just Paul. Dead set on him because he's only got eyes for Paul, and Paul's only got eyes for John, and everyone else got excluded. Oops, but You Really Got a Hold on Me. This is a really good cover. I fucking love it a lot. John's voice in it's like peak. It's so good. I Want to Be Your Man. I know this song's iconic for a reason, but like I'm like, okay. It was okay. Devil in Her Heart is also very good. All the fucking covers that they do are good. Their original songs are kind of like, I don't, they're not sinking in for me, but their covers for some reason are probably the best in terms of what they have to offer. Not a Second Time, don't remember shit about it. And then Money, of course, is the only iconic song that I knew from this album going into it. Either way, those are all the albums that I listened to. In terms of ranking the best, it would probably be, like, out of these three, it would be Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, and then Help dead last, which is a shame, as I said. But yeah, no, there's no contesting that Hard Day's Night stole the show. Probably my favorite of their older tracks. I'm gonna go put these back now. No, I've got left are like I have the anthology left, their rare tracks, and then Abbey Road. I'm still scared to listen to Abbey Road, but I gotta listen to it because then I will get the completionist badge for all of the just regular albums, not compilations or anything. I gotta do it for completionist's sake. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep putting it off, and then I'll never listen to it, and it'll just sit gathering dust on my shelf. Anyway, I think that's everything I got for you guys tonight. Thank you for coming out to stream. This was a bit of a hectic little fun stream to do in the spirit of Halloween season. I still haven't figured out what we're doing next stream. Maybe we'll play some horror games. I will put out a poll about that on my community page. See what you guys feel about me doing some like indie horror games from itch.io like we used to do in the old times. The old times, like a couple months ago. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. Thank you for coming out to stream. Make sure you get something to eat. If you haven't eaten anything yet, make sure you get something to drink. If you haven't drank anything yet, make sure you take your meds. That's important. Please take your medication if you haven't yet. If you're in school right now, make sure you study for that test, to turn in that assignment or do that assignment still.